The story begins like this. A long time ago, there lived a famous blacksmith. He owned a store where he sold his handmade ironware. One day he got lucky and sold his weapons to the kingdom of Cairo, which was in the midst of endless war. It was an incredible chance for him to raise his status. The blacksmith was awarded the position of a baron, and he is the father of Roman, our main character. An old man is telling him the story, and his servant is confused to see his master listening to a story everyone knows. A few hours ago, Roman is asking his servant that, "This is the kingdom of Cairo in the Salamander kingdom, and I'm the eldest son of Dimitri family, and the world called Miriam doesn't exist." His servant is surprised. Why is he asking those questions? Maybe because he did drugs and forget about his own self. Since he is the thrash of the family, he informed Roman that his fiancée is coming. But Roman has no interest in her, and asked his servant to take him to an eldest person of this land, so that he will learn something about this world. We see, the old man has finished telling him the story. Roman thanks him. We come to know that he is reincarnated in Roman's body, and in his previous life his name was Baek Jung Hyuk, and it was a Miriam world. They heard a loud noise from outside. Few guys are bullying someone. The servant saw the tattoo in the bully's hand, which is symbol of Blood Fang Group. He informed Roman that the Blood Fang Group is beating someone, maybe because he didn't pay his debt in time. And the Blood Fang Group not only acts in the land of Dimitri, but also in nearby territories. He suggests his master that we should leave like we didn't see anything, but Roman has another plan. He asks them to stop, and after seeing that he is Roman Dimitri, the thrash, they tell him to screw off. He asked his servant that he doesn't know the rules of this land and tells him to explain to him who broke the rules here. He tells him that the boy was unable to pay his debt in time, so he is in wrong, but the Blood Fangs don't have the permission to take care of that themselves. And they also disrespected the eldest son of Dimitri, which is a crime that worth their life. And according to this land's law, it wouldn't be odd for them to receive capital punishment. Roman picks a stick saying, since they have broke the laws, I, the eldest son of Lord Romero Dimitri, I will punish them. The Blood Fangs are ready to give him a fight. Roman charged towards them. The bald guy attacks Roman, but he got his throat pierced by a stick. They started to charge toward Roman. A guy attacked him. Roman dodged and stabbed him on his chest. Roman is thinking, when I first opened my eyes, he found a will written by Roman and some drugs on the floor. The kingdom chose representatives from each house to go to war, and Roman was forced to go to war to represent his family. He killed himself out of fear. It was a pathetic life. But the owner of the current body is a leader of the heavenly demon sect, Baek Jung Hyuk, and since he took over the body, he is going to live Baek Jung Hyuk's way. The guys start to run screaming monster. Roman grabs him by his head and tells him that he is not going to kill him, but he is still going to pay for talking so ruthlessly. Roman gouged his eyes. He informed everyone that his name is Roman Dimitri, and if they didn't like the punishment he gave them, they can come and look for him anytime. Next we see, Baek Jung Hyuk was a man who massacred hundreds and thousands of martial artists, and when their blood formed a river, the world acknowledged that the heavenly demon sect controlled the Miriam world. But now, he have to go back and forth multiple times, just to take care of few street rats. He asked Hans, his servant, to call the guard and report what happened here. The guy who got beaten thanks Roman for saving him, but Roman tells him that he didn't do it to help him. The guys from Blood Fangs broke the rule and got punished, and asked him to explain his situation, and if he lies, then he won't be able to keep his tongue. He tells Roman that his parents borrowed money from Blood Fang, and they would have easily repaid them by selling their crops. But the Blood Fangs destroyed their crops. But later he knows that they were after his younger sister and begged Roman to at least save his sister. Looking at those eyes, Roman remembered one of the four heavenly demons, the Mad Demon. And he also met him at a rundown place just like this. Roma asked his name. He replies, "It's Kevin." Roman leaves saying, "I'll check if you're telling the truth later." Next we see a carriage, and in there is Lady Flora, the fiancée of Roman. A month ago, her father is telling her to get married in Dimitri. She doesn't agree, but he tells her in order to overcome the disaster they are facing in their land, she have to, and there's no other way. She arrived in the land of Dimitri. She was supposed to marry the second son, who has a bright future, but Roman forced her to marry him instead. Roman, the moron of Dimitri's. She asked Roman to call off the marriage. Roman agreed to her. She is shocked. Roman tells her, since he is a moron of the Dimitri family, he wouldn't dare to marry someone like her. He tells her that he will talk to his father and he will be taking full responsibility for breaking the engagement. Next, his father is scolding him for breaking the marriage. He tells him that he provided him with good environment as a father, even though people called him the moron of Dimitri's, and marriage with Lawrence's family was the best way for them to gain proper position as nobility, and he couldn't even do that. He throws a cup at Roman and tells him, now that his marriage is called off, he have to go to the battle flight in 6 months. Roman agrees. He tells Roman to take responsibility for causing the problems with the Blood Fang group. Roman tells him he will take care of that and leaves the room. Flora tells him that Blood Fang group are very dangerous and tells him to go back and ask for help from his father. But Roman tells her, you really don't know your place. Next we see Hans is applying perfume on Roman, since his fiancée is coming. But Roman doesn't want to marry her, and also doesn't want to be disrespectful towards a woman who hasn't caused him any trouble. But the lady never planned to show any respect towards him. He tells her the moment the topic of breaking the engagement came up, she had no right to interfere with his decision, and tells her we should go on our separate ways from now on. Next, Romero is telling his wife Lahana that he used violence against Roman again. When he was a commoner, he used to beat Roman very often, but when he became a noble, he promised himself not to let his child go through that experience again. Lahana consoles him and tells him to help Roman to take care of Blood Fang group, and tells him to get Captain Jonathan to help Roman. Hans tries to stop Roman to go outside, since Blood Fang might try to get revenge on him. But Roman tells him that Blood Fang started gaining their infamy by mercilessly slaughtering their enemy, and he will deal with them in their own way. Next we see Atelier restaurant. Roman has ordered a meal for Hans and tells him to sit there until he comes back. But Hans stops him from going since it will be very dangerous. But Roman tells him he had done more than enough by accompanying him outside and leave. Hans rushed to inform about Roman leaving alone. Next, Roman is walking in an alley and people from Blood Fang have come to get revenge on him. A guy starts to attack him with a knife. Hans has come to inform Captain Jonathan about Roman and tells him to go and help him since he went in a dangerous place alone. Roman is beating the guys from Blood Fang. He stabs the guy on his throat with a knife. The other two guys are shocked to see that the information they get about Roman are not the same as they see right now, and Roman is ready to cut them down. Next we see Hans telling the Captain Jonathan that Roman went to fight with Blood Fang, but they all laugh at him. Hans tells them that it's not a lie. Jonathan remembered that Lord Romero ordered him to help Roman. He asked Hans to bring them to young master. Next we see Roman and he is ready to fight them. The two of them starts to attack him. A guy attack him. Roman dodged and stab him. The other guy attack him. Roman kick him, sending him flying. He starts to interrogate him and asked him who is their leader. Next we see and then people are drinking and laughing. Roman comes in. The bartender asked, what would you like to drink? Roman replies, Tear of Dawn, one from the 20 seconds. The bartender tells him they don't have something like that. Then he asks Dew of the Dawn. The bartender tells him that it's a pub in the middle of street and they get their task from them when they tells them a special code. Roman asked what's the code and it's Tear of the Dawn, something strong and working in the morning. The bartender tries to surprise attack Roman but gets punched and knocked out. Everyone in the pub starts to attack him. The fight breaks out and Roman beats them easily. Everyone is shocked to see his strength. In a short period of time, the heavenly demon was able to improve Roman's body through martial arts, although he's nowhere near his old self. The guy starts to attack him again. Captain Jonathan is shocked to see Roman beats all of them, and a guard inform him that young master Roman went to Lawrence. Jonathan is confused why he went to Lawrence. 1 hour ago, in the pub, Roman is torturing and interrogating the bartender, but the bartender is not giving him any information. Even though Roman has cut 2 fingers of his, Roman threatened him, saying that he will kill his son. But the bartender is still not willing to give him any information. But Roman tells him, I was serious when I said I'd kill your son, and I swear that my name Roman Dimitri. Now would you rather keep your mouth shut for the sake of Blood Fang and let your son die, or you'll give me the information I needed? Next, we see a guy is telling the leader of Blood Fang that Roman had defeated the entire division by himself, and the leader is shocked that Roman Dimitri is capable of doing something like that. He asks his man, where is Roman right now? He replies, Roman has just left the Dimitri region, maybe he got information from the morning dew. He ordered his man to gather all their forces. They are going to kill Roman Dimitri. Next we see Lawrence's nobles are talking their coming war with Barcos. They heard that Barcos took out large sum of money from the gold bank to prepare for war, and the war is inevitable. Everyone is worried. If the war breaks out, they will definitely lose their territories. But the Lord of Lawrence tell them they still have hope. The marriage with Dimitri. Everyone gets happy saying, we have Dimitris, although they were originally commoners. They are the wealthiest in the northern region. And no matter how much money Barcos took out as a loan, they won't be wealthier than Dimitri's. Flora is worried how to tell her father about the cancel of the marriage. But a guy comes rushing, he greets Flora and tells his lord they're in emergency. Jonathan is telling the guard to open the gate, and if anything happened to young lord, he won't forgive them. A man come and inform the gate guard. The Lawrence Plaza is in total mess right now. Everyone is terrified to see the sight. Roman is dragging the leader of Blood Fang group. The leader of Blood Fang is thinking, since their opponent is only one person and they have many armed men, there is no way they will lost, but shocked to see all his men being killed by Roman Dimitri. Roman is dragging him in the middle of the plaza, and everyone recognized the man he was dragging as the leader of Blood Fang. Roman tells the audience that the crimes of Blood Fang are clear and thus he will rip out the evil within and execute him on the spot. Everyone is shocked and Jonathan have also arrived. He is also shocked to see the scene. Next, the guard is informing the lords that they let Roman to enter the land, since he's Miss Flora fiancé. But after an hour he appeared dragging a man, and after stating he is the leader of Blood Fang, he execute him in front of people. A man tells his lord that Roman murdered a man without the lord's permission and it's a matter that can't be ignored. The lord ordered to summon Roman Dimitri. Roman comes in, seeing Jonathan with him. The Lawrence lord thought, because of him Roman was able to do something like that. Roman greets the Baron Lawrence. The Baron Lawrence asks him, why did you come all the way to Lawrence to do something so violent as that? Roman replies, few days ago I executed some Blood Fang because they were assaulting an innocent citizen, and after that they came to get revenge on me. So I decided that I couldn't leave them be and went to their base to kill their leader. The Baron tells him he has no authority to execute someone in Lawrence. Roman replies, the identity of the leader of Blood Fang isn't unknown and he is popular in Lawrence for his various crimes. But the Lawrence didn't took any action toward him. That's why I took care of him myself. He asked the Baron if he really did something wrong. The Baron tells them this case will no longer desist and will reward Roman for his deed. Next we see, the Baron is happy that his future son-in-law is that gutsy. He thought that Roman was not fit for Flora, but now he calls Flora. Jonathan is surprised to see the Roman in front of him is not the Roman Dimitri that he knew. Next we see Baek Jung-hyuk. When he was a little kid, his father throw him in a cave with other kids and tells him to prove his worthiness. Baek Jung-hyuk is getting beaten by other kid. He tries to fight back but get beaten. He thinks parents are supposed to protect their kid, but why did his throw him in the world where strong reigns? Next we see Roman is taking bath and thinks that after awakened in this world, he have experienced many things. Even though he is in Roman's body, his way of living is still like Baek Jung-hyuk. But it will be dangerous if he goes out like he did this time, and wants to get stronger faster. A servant tells him that the Lord is calling for him. Jonathan is telling Lord Remora about the incident, and Remora is surprised to hear that Roman annihilated the Blood Fang group. He want Roman to live a happy life, since he was the only child that went through when he was a commoner. But now he achieved something that no one ever expected. He is prepared to do anything for Roman. Roman comes in and looking at his father. He thinks the word that comes out from his mouth will change his life totally. Next we see little Baek Jung-hyuk getting beaten up. He picks a stone and hit him on his head. The guy is down, and after that Baek Jung-hyuk starts to hit him and killed him. He tells the other kids, now he is the boss of this cave. Roman admits he did. Next we see the training ground, where people are training. Roman, Remora and Jonathan enters the ground and everyone pays their respect and greet the Lord Remora. Captain Jonathan tells them to duel with young Master Roman. Everyone is shocked to hear they have to duel with an idiot. An hour ago Roman is telling his father how he planned and defeated the leader of Blood Fang. His father asked him how was he able to defeat the leader of Blood Fang. Roman tells him that he's been training in secret, and as an idiot of Dimitri family, he wants to accomplish something on his own. His father asked him if he could see his swordsmanship with his own eyes. No one wants to fight him. Even if they defeat him, they won't gain anything by defeating an idiot. But Jonathan calls a guy named Chris. Chris, he is the vice captain of Dimitri Knights. He met Roman a year ago in a restaurant, where he is causing a problem there. Chris tries to stop him but gets slapped. He thinks Roman is a pathetic human being and just a thrash of Dimitri family. But now he is going to duel with that thrash. He asked Jonathan. He was taught to treat any duel as a real fight and not to show any mercy to his opponent. Roman smiles and Chris get mad. Now the both side is ready, the duel begins. Chris charge towards Roman and attack him. Roman block it. Chris is shocked to see Roman blocked his strike, and his defensive pose is very stable. Chris starts to attack him again, but Roman dodges and blocked all of his attacks. Roman swung his sword, cutting a few of Chris's hair. Everyone is shocked to see Roman's skill. Now the warm-up is over. Roman starts to attack Chris. Chris blocked it. Roman starts to attack him with an impressive chain attack. But Chris noticed that Roman's movement is big and this is his chance. He attacks him. Roman dodged that attack, making a smug face. And Chris thinks that he is going to lose to Roman. He uses his aura and attacks Roman. They have a big commotion, and Remora is worried about Roman. But Roman dodged the attack and countered attack Chris. Everyone is shocked to see Chris get defeated by Roman. Jonathan and Chris are sparring. Chris is 2-star Aura Knight and is incredible in sword. Jonathan thinks that Chris is a genius. But now that genius has been defeated by Roman Dimitri, Lord Remora asked Jonathan, "Isn't Chris was your most trophied 2-star Aura Knight of Dimitri?" Even Jonathan is surprised to see a 2-star Aura Knight being defeated by Roman. He tells Ryamaro, maybe the young lord is a genius at sword skill. Roman is thinking why Jonathan is proud of Chris. Chris has the ability to take care of Bloodfang by himself. And for Jonathan's standard, Chris is a pretty skilled warrior. But in Roman eyes, he is the worst. But Roman was surprised at the end when Chris used his attack. Remora is happy that his son is a sword genius. He is happy for Roman to be able to achieve something by himself and tells him that he will give him a reward fitting for him, and asked him if there anything he wants. Roman tells him that you said that I need to leave for the battlefield within the next half year, and for that I want you to give me the right to select my own men for myself. Remora agrees to him. Next, Chris is surprised to hear that the young lord asked him to teach him about aura. Jonathan asked him to teach the young lord and see what the different about it, and if he did that he will teach him all his skill and knowledge. Next we see Hans is praising Roman for being able to defeat a 2-star Aura Knight. Roman asked if he knows anything about aura. Hans replies, is it not the power to be able to use mana? The eruption of energy that Roman felt from Chris is called mana in this place. But Roman can't understand why they are using energy like that. But he will come to know soon from his training. Next we see Roman and Chris. Chris starts to explain Roman about aura. It's a subset of mana usage. Magician use mana by storing it in their circlets, and knight use it by storing it throughout their body. The first person to figure it out to store the mana throughout the body can strengthen the person's physical body. His name was Emperor Alexandero. Chris tells Roman, the path to become an Aura Knight is difficult, and the path for magician is more difficult. It took him about half a year to sense mana, and for many people it takes more than a year. Roman tells him to start the training. Roman was already able to sense mana because he was a heavenly demon in his previous life and had stored mana in small amount. Chris is explaining him how he should manifest mana, but didn't notice that Roman had already manifested. He got surprised to see Roman has already manifested the mana and had already covered his body with it. Roman is thinking the way people here utilize Kai or mana is useless. In Murim, people used Kai to remove waste from their body to be able to store it within their body. And the Kai in the Murim is barren yet strong, and the Kai in this world is full yet light. And by using the method of this world, he won't be able to reach the top in 100 years. Chris asked him how did he manage to do it. It took years for him. Roman laughs at him. Chris get mad for laughing at his 10 years of effort. But Roman tells him that his 10 years of training were important, but the fact that he didn't even question their method once is the reason why he laughed at him. Chris asked Roman, what should I do from now on? Next we see a man get defeated in fight, and the winner is Baek Jun Hyuk. He asked him what should he do get stronger, and the same with Chris, throwing his pride away and asking Roman what should he do from now on. It's making Roman interested. Next we see a man named Blood Demon. He was strong, and the fight between him and Baek Jun Hyuk was inevitable. But in the end he lost to Baek Jun Hyuk, but he decided to throw away his pride in order to be taught, and now Chris is doing the same. Chris is asking for a way to get stronger from Roman. Roman tells him if he answers his question that wouldn't be any different from the life choices that he have made until now. Roman tells him to follow him and learn from what he does. In 6 months he is going to the battlefield and observe how he gets stronger as how he deals with his different foes. And if he were to follow him for 10 years, he will find the answer he's been looking for. Chris is thinking he wants to get stronger, but what should he do? Next morning, he tells Jonathan that he is going to follow young master to the battlefield. Seeing him so determined, Jonathan agrees and tells him that from now on he will not be considered as Dimitri Knight. Looking at him, Jonathan thinks that he is not the same child who was crying for his dead mother on the battlefield. He asks Chris to follow him. Since he will be going to the battlefield, he needs a weapon that he can call his own. Chris is happy. Next we see the news had spread that the Thrash Roman Dimitri had took care of the Blood Fang. And Kevin also happens to hear the news. Kevin is working and thinks if he was also strong enough like young master, someone strong enough to protect people around them whenever possible. But Roman suddenly appeared in front of him. Kevin falls on his knee and thank him. Because of him, his family is able to survive. Roman gives him an offer. If he accepts, he won't need to be worried about his family financial issues, and he will be able to have warm home and nice food. But he have to pledge his loyalty to Roman. Kevin pledges his loyalty to Roman, and he's ready to live and die, kill or killed on his command. Seeing him pledging his loyalty with his own blood, Roman remembers one of his man from the Murim world, who would do anything on his one command. Roman declares, from now on you are mine. Next we see Roman is telling Hans to take care of Kevin and help him to get used to the life around him. Kevin thanks him for everything. Roman tells them if they need anything, he is in the library. Roman is reading about the Aura Knight. In order to become an Aura Knight, one should be able to manifest aura and its morals as 1-star Aura Knight. And to become 2-star, one should be able to cut steel using aura. And 3-star Knights are beyond normal comprehension and receive special treatment from the kingdom. There are 6-star Knight exist in Salamander, but there's no stories of 7-star. And the people who are 6-star Knight, their strength, attack, and their impact are otherworldly. There are 12 people who have reached 6-star Knight and are treated like royalty no matter their race or nationality. They are called 12 Blades of Continent. And then there are the Magicians. Magicians who reach 7 Circle are given the title Archmage, and they are considered as half human and half god. And they are more powerful than 6-star Knight. Roman is thinking sooner or later he will face them. And for him to live like Baek Jun Hyuk, he have to get stronger. Next we see Hansev bring him in an old workshop where his father used to work. Roman tells him that he is going to spend the next week in that workshop and not to disturb him unless his people are in danger. Hans agrees and leave. Now Roman is ready to start training. In order to use the techniques of Heavenly Demon perfectly, he have to start from the first stage, that is human. He starts to remove the impurities from his body, and in order to regain his original strength. Entering the stage of human is just the beginning. 1 week later, Baron Lawrence and his daughter have come to Dimitri. They ask for Roman and the servant tells them to wait in the waiting room, since the young master is busy with some matter. Baron tells Flora that they have come to apologize for their mistake, so be wary of what you say. Next we see Flora had informed her father about the cancellation of the marriage, and he gets mad about the rushed decision. Now the Barcos attacks, they will lose all their land, honor, and even she who's been called the flower of Lawrence. Now she is regretting because of her selfish reason. They will lose everything. Hans is worried. Now the Baron and Lady Flora has been waiting from the morning, but young master haven't come out. The door opens and Hans is surprised to see his young master. Baron Lawrence gets angry, since they have been waiting from the morning until afternoon. He tells his daughter that he will go and find Baron Dimitri. He comes to the Baron Dimitri and asks why are they being so cruel to let them wait for half a day. Baron Dimitri asks him if they have an appointment with him. Baron Lawrence tells him that they don't have it, but they have already shared their intention with Roman a week ago. And if the Dimitri decided to decline their visit, they wouldn't have been offended like this. Baron Dimitri asked them if they are just here to share that they are angry because they had to wait for half a day. And on the day when Flora visited and Roman shared his intention of breaking the marriage, he knew Flora was the reason why he wanted to break the marriage, even though he knew he didn't question Roman about it. And Lawrence were the one who wanted the marriage first. And while they were oblivious about their own mistakes, still dares to come and complain to him. He informed them a month ago Barcos offered them for marriage with them instead of Lawrence. But Dimitri's declined them because he chose the option that he personally liked. Now Baron Lawrence is thinking he had make a big mistake because of his anger. He tells Flora he knew that she and Roman were not good match, since Roman is considered as a trash of family, but she should have known that Roman is a Dimitri, and the name alone holds a value of it. Flora is thinking, when she was kid there was a child who make a mistake in the school, and the teacher opened a punishment committee for him. His father came and apologized to the teacher, and now she is in the same situation of that child and his father. They both apologize to Baron Dimitri. A servant informed young Master Roman have arrived, and both of them are surprised to see him in his new look. His father asks, "Are you done with your training?" He replies, "Yes." Seeing the situation of the room, he tells them he know about the Lawrence and Barcos situation. However, on the day he first met Flora, after hearing her thought, he changed his mind. She made her result after hearing about the rumors of the fool of Dimitri. He tell them no matter what the other people said about Roman Dimitri, but he was hoping to spend his life with someone who judged him based on what they saw personally, and thus he wants no change to occur for the marriage to be broken up. Baron Lawrence is thinking, now they have to solve their issue with what they have within the Lawrence family. But he is grateful for Dimitri for not accepting the Barcos offer and joined with them. He apologized to them again and leave with his daughter. He thinks if he had known about Roman's true worth, he would have been more careful and tells Flora to not make sudden decisions. His father asks what happened to him over the past week. During that week, he was inside the shed, removing all the impurities within his body to reach human stage. The amount of impurities in his body was critical, and preparing even the foundation of his body had a significant effect. The changes of his physical appearance. He tells his father, when he was in training he started to circulate the mana throughout his body. His father gets surprised that his son Roman Dimitri, who is known to be an idiot of Dimitri, had accomplished a thing that no one can possibly do. He tells Roman as his father he will always support him no matter what. Roman thinks the father he had now is totally different from his cruel father in his previous life. He thanks him for his support and leave the room, but Flora is waiting for him outside. She apologizes for judging him too quickly, but he tells her she doesn't need to apologize for it. She stops and tells him the reason why she wanted to break the engagement. She tells him it was during the gathering of royal families in the Northeast. She heard the rumor that Roman Dimitri enjoyed doing drugs. She tells him it should be something he should know, but now she knows that they all were false. He tells her, whatever happened, it doesn't change their relationship and she doesn't need to care about it. Next, Roman asks Hans if he had ever seen him doing drugs. Hans replies, a month ago. When you returned from the gathering you seemed to be in an odd state, and after that you asked for excessive amounts of alcohol and didn't even leave your room. Hans thought he got his hand on drug during the party. Roman asked who was the host of the party. It was the eldest son of Bracco, Anthony Barco. Now Roman understands what has been going on. Few things were bothering him about Roman death, and in his will letter, he was supposed to go to the battlefield instead of his two younger siblings. But he was already promised to married with Flora, so there was plenty of ways to avoid going to war. But why decided to kill himself? Roman asked if he was closed with Anthony Bracco. Hans replies, recently you were on bad term after the talks of marriage with Lawrence. Roman thinks the marriage between Dimitri and Lawrence was a big obstacle for Bracco, and to stop them, they must have done everything they could to Roman, and that's what led to Roman to kill himself. Hans informed that they receive an invitation from the Bracco family a couple of days ago. Roman tells him to inform the Bracco that he will be attending the party. Next we see Hans brought Kevin to see young master and tells him not to be surprised to see young master. Kevin opens the door and surprised to see Roman. Roman asks how he has been. He replies, I have been fine, and asks Roman what is his role here. Roman tells him his role is to be his sword. He tells him there are 3 paths he can choose. First, if he is scared of bloodshed, he don't have to be his sword but his hand and feet like Hans and learn from him. Second, to become his sword and protect him by his side, and he will test him by a method that will cause an excruciating pain. And the third one is to cut off his hand, and if he endure it till end, he can become stronger at a rate faster than anyone else. Roman thinks even the mad demon who was astray in the streets was able to become 4 heavenly demon. Now what about Kevin? Kevin was born outside the castle of Dimitri and worked to survive. He had learned how to do everyday job, but every effort he put in get taken away of someone. But everything changed after seeing the overwhelming strength of Roman. He decided that he will do it. He swing the sword. Next we see Chris asking Hans about Roman, and Hans replied he is talking with Kevin. Kevin has chopped his hand and passed out. Hans is shocked to see the blood in the sword, but Roman tells him not to worry about it. It's fine. Roman had used the charm of illusion demon and had made Kevin feel like he had actually cut off his hand. Roman is excited to see how will they grow in 6 months. Roman tells Kevin that he is going to teach him mana enhancement technique, the same technique the mad demon used, the dangerous technique that eats away the user's spirit and allows them to display power under extreme pain. Since Kevin was ready to cut off his hand, this technique will be perfect for him. He tells him if he masters this technique, he will have the strength to protect everyone around him. Kevin asks why he trusts him so much. He could betray him after learning the technique, but Roman tells him it's just because, and tells him we will start training from tomorrow. Roman is surprised because Mad Demon also asked him the same question, but he believed that Kevin won't betray him because as the time passes he will know how dangerous is it to betray the heavenly demon. Roman is teaching Kevin and Chris is watching them. He is thinking why Roman is not teaching him but this strange kid, but he thinks to wait for a little while. Many days passed by just like that. Chris get mad and ask Roman. It's been 2 weeks he started to follow him but he is not teaching him anything. Roman replied, I told you to just observe and learn. Chris is shocked that he literally meant to observe and learn. Roman tells him that everyone has their own way of training. He is teaching Kevin because he doesn't know anything and need to learn from beginning to the end. But for Chris is different. He gives Chris a sword and tells him to spar with Kevin, and Roman will advise Kevin on how to defeat him. Kevin is scared to fight with a knight, but Roman tells him even if he gets defeated he won't lose anything. Kevin agrees and now they are ready to fight. Chris starts to attack him but Kevin blocked the strike. Chris swing his sword and kick Kevin, sending him flying. Kevin hears a sound telling him to get up. It's Roman talking to him by sound conduction, a method to deliver sound through mana. Kevin is surprised to know that his master knows something like that. Roman tells him to throw himself to the right. He dodges the attack and tells him to turn around and aim for his chest. Chris dodged and kicked him. Kevin is thinking his swing was too slow to land. Chris attack him again. Roman tells him to escape to the right but get hit on his face. Chris is thinking that Kevin is holding better than he expected. Kevin is surprised to see his master is omnipotent to know the exact movement of 2-star knight, but it's his body that cannot keep up with his command. He is thinking the young master is like puppet master who is controlling the knight Chris. Roman tells him to turn his body towards the right. He dodges the attack and tells him to charge forward and counter-attack. Chris dodges the attack and punched him. Chris is surprised to see Kevin is dodging all the critical attack and even counter-attack him. And Kevin is surprised. The greatest genius of Dimitri Knight can't even hold a candle to the young master, who is just commanding him to dodge and attack. and he is going to serve that kind of person as his lord. Kevin attacked Chris, but now he has got beaten up pretty bad. Chris tells him to admit his defeat, but Kevin laughs at him and he is ready to do this all day. Chris get mad and charge toward him. Roman tells him to step forward and attack, but Chris dodged the attack. Roman tells him to turn around and charge. Seeing how wide his movement is, Chris decide to attack him, but suddenly notice Roman. Kevin dodged the attack and counter-attack him, but Chris have learned from his mistake and dodged the attack. Chris attack him, knocking him out. Roman tells him now that he win, he will start to teach him from tomorrow, if he desire, and it's his choice. Chris is in his room thinking, if he didn't had that experience with Roman, he would definitely lost to Kevin using aura. He laughs, saying, he have grown from just one experience. Next morning, he tells Roman that he doesn't need any teaching and will look for a way to get stronger by following him. He has grown so much from just one spar. His mind is filled with teaching like Roman is teaching him as he was teaching Kevin. He determined himself that he will observe and learn from it. 1 week later, the day of social gathering hosted by Bracco came. A week before the social party, the news of Roman Dimitri and Flora Lawrence marriage get cancelled has spread like wildfire and reached to the eldest son of Bracco, Anthony Bracco. He is saying, Roman is so easily manipulated and he is eager for the social party, where Roman will come again. The day of the social party, Hans has prepared a dress for Roman. He doesn't want to wear it, but for Hans' sake he agrees to wear it. Chris is waiting for Kevin. Kevin arrived wearing an armor. He is still not used to it. Seeing Kevin like that, Chris thinks he almost lose a fight to a guy who doesn't know how to wear an armor. Chris tells him, since they are escorting the young master, his reputation lies in our action, so rash decision are forbidden. Kevin replied, I will keep that in mind. Next we see, people are enjoying the social gathering party, and their hot topic is the idiot of Dimitri. But there's one girl who is curious about Roman. She asked a guy, what kind of man is Roman Dimitri? He replies, you will see when you meet. The servant announced the eldest son of Dimitri, Roman Dimitri, is entering. Seeing his head held high, with a strong posture, everyone is shocked to see him. A girl comes and greet him. Her name is Sophia Grisel from Grisel family. She asked if he ever heard of her family name, though they are not a prominent family. Her father dedicated his life for the kingdom of Cairo. Roman replies, how can he forget the family with a history of dating back centuries? Roman had did his homework before coming to the social party about his family and their connection. He tells her that the lumber from Grisel is famous for its high quality in the kingdom of Cairo, and he also heard that her siblings succeeded in sensing manhwa. Seeing how well-mannered and friendly he is, everyone starts to approach and greet him. The servant come and inform him that the young master has invited him into the back room. Next we see Chris and Kevin. Chris is telling him to take off his helmet. The other guard starts to insult them, saying, is this the level of Dimitri? Their guard didn't even know how to put a helmet on. We see old Roman, who felt in love at first sight after seeing Flora. Roman enters the room and Anthony tells him he heard that he changed, so that's true. Roman takes a sit, and after observing the room he noticed there were other people there, and he make them leave. There must be something important for him to tell me. Anthony tells him he didn't think that Roman will attain the party because of what happened back then. Roman asked what happened back then. Anthony tells him, you were caught sleeping with my cousin in the back room. Anthony tells him now that Roman had attained the party. He takes that as yes to accept the marriage proposal, and the matter with his cousin will be kept secret. Now the missing link are joining. Roman suddenly starts to remember about that day, where he came to the party. Anthony introduced him to his cousin and make him drink. Next thing he wakes up with a girl in the bed naked. Anthony comes and start to yells at him, saying now he have to take responsibility. Anthony tells him he had laid his hands on a lady of Bracco and this matter cannot be slide. But he will not expose the truth if he agrees to marry a direct descendant of Bracco family. Now the puzzle is solved why Roman killed himself. He doesn't want the Dimitri family honor to drops to rock bottom, and he doesn't want to break off the marriage with the girl he loved. He had no other choice but to committed suicide. The current Roman thinks a weakling like Roman Dimitri, who have never accomplished anything on his own, is just a pathetic human being. Anthony tells him he is not going to oppose them since he has no other choice. But Roman tells him he is not going to accept the Bracco's family proposal for just that pathetic reason. Next we see Roman is ready to leave the party, and Sophia is sad that he is leaving so soon. He tells everyone it's an urgent matter and he have to leave. But when he comes outside he notices a big commotion. Kevin is getting beaten up. Next we see the Knights of Braccos are making fun of Kevin and Chris, but Chris is telling him to endure it. But one of the knights starts to insult Roman, saying their liege is just a moron. Kevin gets mad and tells the knight to take back what he said. The knight slapped him. Chris tries to fight, but he is confused. The Dimitri family is currently at a conflict of interest with the Bracco family, and if he causes a mess here, the family will get in trouble. Kevin tells them he is the knight of his liege and he will not let them to insult him. The guy tries to hit him, but Roman stops him and starts to slap him. He tries to say a moron like you, but gets slapped again. The knight tries to stand up, but Roman slaps him again and tells him to raise his head because he is going to hit again. Next we see Anthony is in a shocked state. He was telling Roman to take responsibility for laying his hands on Bracco's lady, but Roman tells him to do whatever he likes. Since he is considered as a moron, nothing will change from getting one or two rumor like that. He tells Anthony that he broke the marriage on his own accord, and since that has fulfilled his wish, if he tries to bear his fang at him, he will help the Lawrence family to interfere with the Bracco's family, to just relieve his personal grudge against Anthony. The real powerhouse in the Northeast is not the Bracco family but the Dimitris. Anthony agrees to wrap up the matter of his cousin if he didn't interfere with the matters regarding Lawrence family. Now Anthony is thinking, how did Roman change so much? But his servant informed him about Roman and his knight. Everyone is shocked to see Roman punishing the knight, and the knight is begging for forgiveness. Kevin and Chris also telling him to stop, but Roman is like, nah, I'm going to beat him to death. Anthony comes saying what's the meaning of this, and demand Roman to apologize for his insolent action. But Roman asks, why should I apologize when his knight slandered me and laid his hand on my person? But Anthony tells him that he crossed the line. But Roman reminds him saying, didn't I tell you my personal grudge may destroy our relationship as well as our family's relationship? So you should keep your action in check and decide what he will do right now. Anthony admits that Roman is right and he would have given the same punishment to him. And now Roman tells the guard to clench his teeth because he is going to get beaten real hard. The previous Roman was a moron, but the present one is different. Everyone who are present there acknowledge one fact: a moron they knew was no longer existed. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, then please do like, comment, share and subscribe for more, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. And one more thing, part 2 is going to be a real good one. Next, we see Kevin apologizing because of him Roman got insulted, and Chris is also apologizing because he didn't do anything while Dimitri's family name was being disgraced and Kevin was being beaten. But Roman thanked them for enduring and bearing with it until he arrived, and their decision prevents the worst case scenario, but tells that in future if anybody does something like that, even though they are more powerful than Dimitri, make sure to remember their face, since he will live a life standing above all and they should adapt to his way. Next, we see Hans, who has brought the information of the Bracco family as his young master requested. Bracco family settled in the Northeast over a century, and they started to rise in power after someone from their family entered the central government. Their military strength is not that strong, but they are flying all over because of the central government behind them. Salamander continent consists of 2 emperors and 6 kingdoms, and Cairo is one of them because it shares borders with others' kingdoms. It experiences several invasions from a foreign power. They have no choice but to join the central government. Due to this, central government also naturally gains strength. Their authority over conscription is especially absolute. If a noble family rejects conscription, they are deemed as insurgents and soldiers are dispatched immediately. And after subjugating the insurgents and confiscating the land, they reward the lord that helps them in subjugating with a portion of land, and the rest is granted to a new aristocrat who is obedient to them. Hans is shocked to hear all the information, and Bracco also took the loan out from Gold Bank with credit guarantee without any particular collateral. And with the money they acquired, they invested in hundreds of mercenaries with a rank, and they are expected to attack Lawrence within half a month. Roman had told Anthony that he will not interfere with their war with Lawrence, but he cannot leave Bracco's be now that they've threatened him. He can easily execute them if he borrowed his family's power, but that will be meaningless. What he needs right now is an opportunity to rise to a greater stage like last time. He tells Hans that he is going to meet his father. It's time to cash in on what I was promised last time. Next we see a man covered in blood. His name is Lucas, a B-rank mercenary. He comes to a blacksmith to repair his armor. The blacksmith tells him that the quality of his gear is not great, and he replies he almost lost his life because of it, since it will take a while to make full set. Lucas will be recuperating in Dimitri for the time being, but gets surprised to see a group of people watching something on a board. He thought maybe war break out and goes to see himself, but surprised to see a recruiting notice. Notice, prerequisites, must be healthy and desire to become strong. Number of recruits 30, wage 8 silver per month. He thinks it's a good offer, 8 silver per month, but he doesn't like the special condition to belong to Roman Dimitri and not to Dimitri family, and to apply only if they are willing to lay down their life for Roman Dimitri. An old man tells him he wouldn't get a chance since hundreds have already applied. He is shocked to hear hundreds have applied for it. For Roman Dimitri, the moron of Dimitri. The old man tells him he is no longer the moron he was before, and he also took down the blood fang. He also heard from the clerk that after his son started to work for Roman, their family life of poverty completely changed, and his son named as Kevin Next we see Roman asking Kevin to leave. Kevin is shocked, but he tells him to enjoy his time with his family since he's been training for months. Kevin is getting ready to go and meet his family. Hans comes with new clothes and some money and informs him that he will receive 30 silver a month from now on, and he can buy some gifts or luxury for his family with that money. Kevin has brought a lot of bread for his sister, thinking it was her lifelong wish to eat whipped cream on freshly baked bread, because they only get to eat hard bread when he was poor. Thinking back when they used to get bullied by Bloodfang, but now he will protect his family no matter what. But gets surprised to see his family living happily. They gets happy meeting their son after a long time. He asks his father about the house and he tells him young Master Roman granted them house to live in and land to cultivate. He thanks his young master with teary eyes, but his father noticed the injury in his face and asks if Lord Roman beats him. He tells them Lord Roman is not that kind of person and the injury on his face is because. Next, we see his father is telling his friend how Roman beat the shit out of Barco's knight for just to protect his knight, and what sort of noble will go that far for their subordinates. News have spread about Roman beating the knight of Barco to protect his knight, and kids are wishing to be like Kevin. Now everyone is thinking if they could only earn Lord Roman's trust like Clerk's family. Now Lucas is thinking what in the world happened in the 2 years. The Roman Dimitri he knew who was causing fuss in the casino after losing money. That moron no longer exists. Now he is getting interested and wants to confirm it by himself. Next we see Roman's father and Jonathan is asking him if it's really fine for Roman to develop his own private soldier, and ask him at least for what purpose. Baron Dimitri thought when he heard about the Barco party. He thought Roman was going to collaborate with Barco to drive out his second-born from the line of succession, but was surprised to hear that he beat the Barco knight. Even when Anthony could possibly join forces with my second-born to deal a fatal damage to Roman's right of succession as revenge. Roman, who was a moron for decades, has started to live life on his own, and as his father, he merely wished to cheer for him. He asked how many people applied. Considering his reputation, above 50 would be a relief. Jonathan replies, it's estimated to be over 500 people. Baron is shocked to hear that numbers. Next we see people have gathered and Chris is informing his liege the preparation for trial have been completed. The night before the trial, Lucas is having a drink and is surprised to see many experts have come for the trail, mercenaries and people with good battle experiences. He is thinking that the level of the applicants is higher than he expected, but he noticed a man asking his friend Henderson, didn't you were going to become a soldier of Lawrence? He replies, at first I was going to, since Lawrence is my hometown. But after seeing Roman Dimitri destroying the Bloodfang, he changed his mind. He was there when Roman was dragging and executed the leader of Bloodfang. He saw it with his own eyes. A noble who came to another territory to smash the head of the Bloodfang leader just because they laid their hand on his people. He can't get that scene out of his head. People doubt and deny the incident in Lawrence, but he saw and felt it directly. He yells saying he is the true leader who fight for his people, and this private recruitment is once in a lifetime chance to be his subordinate. Now Lucas is thinking, is Roman Dimitri worth laying his life for? The day of trial. Lucas is thinking what choice he should make if everything he heard is true, and many people here are also thinking the same. The moment of choice will be when they see Roman Dimitri. His eyes get wide open when he sees Roman, and everyone started to bow down their head. Lucas is surprised that without giving any command, but everyone unconsciously bowed their heads and make way for him. And the rumors are true about him. Roman tells them that he will select 30 soldiers who will fight with him today, and informed them that he will not live his day cooped up in a remote area, and will constantly be in the battlefield putting his life on the line for higher position. And anyone here who came here without any firm resolve returned back. And when they died in the battlefield, they should not have resentment towards him but regret that they weren't able to witness him standing tall. Lucas is thinking that there should be a limit to his arrogance, but looking at him he could actually pull it off. Chris informs them that he will be the instructor for their first trail, and an archer will shoot an arrow at them. The arrow may just barely graze them, be lodged in the plate behind them, or it may hit and cause a fatal injury. And the one who do not move an inch while 3 arrows are fired will pass the first trail. The trail begins and the archer is ready to shoot, and a man who is next in the line, thinking that the archer might be an expert and would never miss a shot. The archer shoot the arrow and the arrow land on the plate behind. Now he is thinking, this is a psychological battle and he just have to hold out believing nothing will happen. The archer shoots another arrow and that pierced through the leg of that man. Seeing it, everyone gets shocked. Chris calls for a medic. Now everyone gets scared thinking this is insane. Chris called for the next person named Morrison. But Morrison forfeited after seeing the blood of that person. Chris tells them if they are scared of getting hit by an arrow, and if there are cowards in this drill hall, get the F out this instant. Next we see Roman telling a few guys to get hit by the arrow, but not to worry, the archer is an expert of this region and he will only strike the areas that won't result in fatal injury, and will receive a hefty reward. They all agree. Chris asks him why he is going so far, and he replies that I have to show them that they are putting their lives on the line. even if the chance of getting hit by the arrow in 100 to 1. But they will be struck by fear from that 1% chance. He wants to find subordinates with strong mentality, in other words, one born with the heart of a beast. People born with the heart of beast will grow stronger quickly even if they start from the bottom. And only those of that caliber can walk alongside him. Many people have leave after seeing the trail, and now Roman is thinking, the heart of a beast. It's an innate talent just like Kevin and Chris and those who are not born with the heart of a beast. No matter how strong they are, will always lose to the one that are born different. The trail resume. Lucas noticed the guy from the inn and he has not give up yet. And he is thinking that this is the chance to pledge his loyalty to Roman. The archer shoot an arrow that land just next to his ear. Now he is having a second thoughts. Second arrow landed next to his shoulder. He was about to give up, but third arrow shot just below his ding-dong. He passed the trail and Lucas is thinking if the arrow was just a bit late he would have give up. The trail continues. Many have passed and many have give up, and now among 400 peoples only 120 remains. Now those who pass while trembling and those without a care. But they both possess the courage to suppress their fear, and among them he have to select 30 of them. He tells them they have passed the first trial and he will test them all once again through the second trail. And if they pass the trail and become his subordinate, they will be able to live the life of a predator. And the second trail is to fight with Roman. Everyone is confused and Lucas is thinking that he is going to duel with 120 of them by himself. They don't have to win, but those who last even 1 minute against him will be passed and receive even better conditions than the one listed in the notice. A big bald guy comes saying, "I will." They get ready to fight. Roman asks for his name and it's Vulcan. Vulcan is thinking that Roman confidence is overblown and he can pass if he lasts a minute. The duel begins. He charges towards Roman and attacks him. Roman dodges the attack and next thing he finds he is on the ground and Roman's sword is in his neck. Lucas realized that Roman is on a different league and this trail will be incomparably more difficult than the first trail. The trail continues. People were thinking as time passed Roman's stamina will run out and it will be easier to face him, but an hour passed since the second trial had begun. 60 duels and 60 losses. Roman showed absolutely no sign of fatigue. Henderson finally understand what he meant by they will be able to live a life of predator. And Roman is a predator. And right now, while Roman is still considered as a moron of Dimitri, this moment could be the only chance of lifetime to become Roman's subordinate. But how are they going to face that monster? He tells them if applicant doesn't come forward, then everyone here fails. Lucas comes forward. He states his name and he is 61st applicant. Lucas is thinking how will he face the monster in front of him. His overwhelming martial skills and can inflict such pressure with only the atmosphere. Just as he said, he won't stay rotting away in a remote region and Roman will move to dominate the entire continent. He is sure of it. Now he doesn't give a damn about the 8 silver. He will confirm what Roman said is true or not for just 1 year. But for that he have to pass the trial. He charges toward Roman. With his sword he aimed for Roman's head and dagger at his heart. Roman deflect both of his attack. Lucas throw his dagger at him and attack with his sword. Roman deflect both of his attack again. Lucas pull out another dagger and charged again. Seeing Lucas putting all his effort, Roman thinks he possesses instinctive sense. Lucas tries his best to land a hit, but Roman dodges all of his attack easily. Now Roman charged toward Lucas. Next we see Lucas thinking B rank is his limit after gotten defeated by someone who was powerful than him. He thought he has reached his limit and cannot escape the realm of B rank. But still he survived in the battlefield where countless people perished. From that he realizes you must use any means necessary to survive. He pull out a poach and throw it at Roman. It's a sand. Thinking that this is his chance, he charges forward, but surprised to see Roman hasn't closed his eyes. His eyes, red from sand, were staring straight at him. Lucas admits his defeat. Next we see the heavenly demon god cult, where they first trained on how to keep open your eyes during battle because a single blink may take their life. Hence they were trained to keep their eyes open anytime. Roman washes his eyes and Lucas is feeling guilty for playing foul and getting a pathetic result and thinks if Roman will be angry for his foul play and he might get punished. But Roman calls for next applicant. Lucas is surprised. Not only he but everyone gets surprised. Why he didn't punish Lucas for committing a foul play. Roman had already knew of Lucas's plan, but he went along with it to see him at his best. He duels with another applicant and all of them starts to foul play like Lucas. The guy charged toward him. Roman kicked him in his face. Lucas realized that foul play is not a condition for disqualification, but as soon as they cross that line he shows no mercy. It's already been 2 hours and a 100 duels, but forget about a single drop of sweat. Roman's breathing is perfectly stable. In the blink of a death, no enemy will go easy on you just because you're tired. Roman had learned the breathing technique. The mana of nature obtained through this chain of action circulates through his body to recover from fatigue and maintains his body at its optimal state. And there is no way that his stamina would drain from such a light sparring. Chris informed them the number of people who passed the second trial is 0. But however, that doesn't mean there are no successful applicants. 30 out of 120 of them there will be selected and informed at a later date. Roman gives him the list of selected people, but Chris didn't understand why he selected Vulcan and Henderson. He asked Lucas pass as well. Roman asked him, is there a problem? Chris tells him not only did he commit foul play, but he also surrendered without fighting until the end. He gave up the moment he judged that he'd lost. And forget about honor. He's a mercenary who'd abandon his comrades and do whatever it takes to survive. Roman tells him that's why he passed him. He may be a coward who knows no honor, but in a situation where no one thought of committing a foul play, but he thought of a realistic way to face him and act on it. And this kind of people actually shine on the battlefield. He asks Chris how can he be certain that Lucas would betray his comrades just because he committed foul play. Chris remembered Jonathan saying the one who survives on the battlefield are not knights who can use aura, but the one who can calmly face each situation and act accordingly. Now he is thinking he was too short-sighted on this time as well. But there is still something that he didn't understand. Why he has gathered soldier already when there is still 5 months to go to the battlefield. Next we see a man announcing that Bracco will declare a territorial war against Lawrence, and Lawrence are in stress right now. Now Chris understands why he recruited his soldiers. Roman tells him that they will start preparing to barge into the war between Barco and Lawrence. Flora is getting a nightmare about the destruction of Lawrence because of her. Next we see, maids are discussing that Lady Flora hasn't come out of her room ever since she returned from Dimitri. And they also heard that the marriage broken off because of Lady Flora's mistake. Now Flora is thinking that she thought that she was clever, getting a good grades in an advanced level course in academy, and the bright smile her father always showed her. She thought she was a good daughter. But in reality she is nothing more than a flower in the garden without her family. And she has no confidence to face her father, and she is thinking what would Roman be thinking if he was in her place, who is complete opposite of her. He subjugated the Blood Fang group with his own strength, and compared to that the moron of Dimitri. What is she worse than a moron? The servant brought food for their lady and gets surprised to see the lady come out of the room. She informed them she is going to the library, since her father is doing his best to garner help from other families. She should find a way to get out of their situation, just like Roman did with the Blood Fang. The servant is informing the Baron Lawrence that all the family has rejected their proposal, and they can't even garner help from neighboring regions due to the Barco's oppression. And a man is announcing that if Lawrences do not pay their debts or hand over their land that was set as collateral within 1 week, then the Barcos, with the permission of the central government, will declare a territorial war against Lawrence. Flora is reading while thinking there is only 1 week left until the war. Baron Lawrence is cursing the other Baron for not helping them in their need, and they are treating them like they don't even exist. They even try to loan money from Gold Bank, but they are more interested in Barcos than Lawrence's. One of them suggests to surrender since it will protect their innocent soldiers, as well as preserve as much land as possible, instead of them taking everything. Now they are all thinking what to do, but Flora comes and tells her father that she has something to tell him. Next we see Roman telling his father that he will be involving in the war between Barcos and Lawrence in the name of Roman Dimitri. His father yells at him for making such decision, and it will cause a big problem for their family, since they have already broken off the marriage with Lawrence. But Roman asks his father how would he like him to live on. He tells him, I was actually threatened by the eldest son of Barco family, Anthony Barco. He did such thing, since my marriage with Lawrence would be hindrance to their plans, and I don't have evidence to prove what actually happened that day. People says that Dimitri is the true powerhouse of Northeast, but Barcos are already treating us under them. He asks his father he might be satisfied with the current situation, but he is different. He wants power and will not stand by and watch as the Dimitri name is tarnished, whether it be by Barco or anyone else. He has plenty of cause, just like Barcos declared war by making non-existent cause. In this new life he is going to live a life of domination. He tells him that he is asking not to lend families strength. He will intervene in this war with only the qualification as Roman Dimitri. So please watch over me. Next we see Roman's father telling his wife how the other nobles treated him when he went to the capital since he was originally a commoner. She asks, so you want to change that, but he is fine with his current life. And he hopes his sons are different, who's fine with ruling over a small remote land. But the son in front of him is totally different, and by the looks on his eyes he can't be persuaded. He dreamt about this moment that his worrisome child has grown this much before he knew it. He tells him to do as he likes and as his father. no matter what he does. There is no need to take responsibility alone. Next we see the workshop of Dimitri and Roman have come there to find armor for his soldier. Workshop where several blacksmiths can work at once, and there exists 30 of workshop in the blacksmith street. The iron mine behind the estate has the greatest deposits in all the kingdom, and the blacksmiths of Dimitri has the skill set to sell the iron that was mined there for a hefty price. Because of this, the northeast nobles of Cairo would never dare become hostile with Dimitri. They are afraid of Dimitri's wealth aside. If they were unable to obtain the supplies of Dimitri's iron weapons, in the kingdom of Cairo would be a critical issue in its own rights. Roman has come there to find the master blacksmith. Next we see Roman asking his father to help with the armaments to equip the soldiers. He tells him to go to Hendrik, who used to work alongside with him and now he is in charge of all the iron production. He tells him to inform Hendrik that it's his request. He will help with him everything. But he tells him that the blacksmiths of Dimitri are very prideful, and only someone who can discern iron quality and has the skill to handle it can truly earn the trust of the blacksmith. Hendrik asks him why did he come all the way here. Roman tells him, I believe my father sent word to you in advance regarding why I'd be coming here. Hendrik replies, equipment to arm 30 people. I thought you were just here to steal something because you run out of money. He shows him some scrap lying around the floor, and take whatever he wants. Roman asks if this is his best. Hendrik gets mad, saying if you're not satisfied with it then leave. Roman picks a sword and tells him the reputation of Dimitri's ironwork being the greatest in Cairo was overblown to think you'd call this equipment for soldiers. And ask him again if this is your best master, Hendrik. Hendrik gets mad, yelling, how dare you judge the ironwork of Dimitri, and you are just a trash who can't do anything. Roman swings the sword and tells Hendrik that his soldier died because the blunt edge of this sword couldn't cut through the flesh of his enemy. He could have survived, but because of this trash sword he lost his life. He picks a body armor and tells Hendrik that the soldier that wore this chainmail that his lord gave him was betrayed by the armor that he trusted and died, and who is responsible here? The lord that gave his soldier the armor or the blacksmith that made it? And he tells him the purpose of the weapons and armors are cleared, and I was requested with the name of Baron Romero, my father, and in response you tried giving me their pieces of trash. Your action, Master Hendrik, can I take them as insubordination towards my father? Hendrik tells him that he is absolutely not in subordination towards Baron. The blacksmith that were working noticed them and ask Roman what is he doing with Master Hendrik. Seeing a sword on his hand, they gets ready to restrain him. But Hendrik stopped them and apologized, saying I am entirely at fault in this matter. Next we see Hendrik getting scolded by his master for making a trash sword even though he is not ready to make a sword. One guy asks his master to sell him a sword, but he doesn't have enough money. His master tells him to screw off if he doesn't have money. Hendrik gave him the sword he make, and the guy gets happy to get a free sword. Next thing he knew, the guy died after his sword broke during a fight with bandits, and he was the only one to die in his group. Now Hendrik is feeling guilty that he tried to repeat that day's tragedy just because he doesn't like Roman. He is ready to pay price for his action, but Roman tells him if he is willing to repent for his mistake to this extent, he won't take this any further, and he is well aware that Hendrik is a great blacksmith. He tells him all he wants are the sword and armor to protect the lives of his soldier. Looking at Roman, he realized that the rumors are true that he changed, but how can someone change to such extent? Hendrik is ready to make swords and armor for him. Next we see Hendrik is working, and a guy is telling Roman that he stole Hendrik's sword that took him 6 months just to design and 3 months to complete it. But Roman sold it to a street merchant for just a little amount of money. Roman is thinking the one who crossed the line is the past Roman. Hendrik tells him that he haven't completely forgiven him for that matter, and he accepts the request because he was in the wrong. Next we see Roman have come to the workshop. He have ordered his servant to clean the place and bring all the tools there. In Murin, when he was 18, he forged his own sword to fight with his 11th brother, but his sword was broken, unable to withstand his brother's attacks. After he defeated his brother with the broken sword, he decided to make a sword that will never break in battle. He visited a blacksmith and learned how to forge a sword, and now he is going to forge a sword for his new self to prepare for the coming war. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, then please do like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Next, we see Roman repeatedly hammering the iron while thinking about his past life, where he was a strong and powerful heavenly demon. So in this life also he must train to be more firm. Roman's world and the powerful force within it. He hasn't become fully aware of that, and defeat will not be tolerated. He uses the godly inferno art to hammer the iron. Right now what he desires is the power that can face all variables. Next, we see Flora, who is telling her father even though they have backed into the corner, but surrendering is the one thing they should not do. Her father tells her, rather than losing the life of innocent soldiers by fighting a losing war, surrendering may be the best choice for everyone. She tells them the money that the Barcos loaned from the gold bank. That loan is likely processed as an unsecured loan, and a loan without collateral must have a very high interest rate. The gold bank was the one that lent the money to obtain rewards that both of them, the Barcos and the gold bank, will benefit from, and they will tear the land apart once they occupy Lawrence. Everyone is silent after hearing that. Her father asks, then what are we supposed to do? She tells him, there is only one way, and that is desperate resistance. Her father was expecting she will come up with an extraordinary countermeasure, but it was only at the level of common sense. Her father asks, is closing the castle gate shut the best way for them to survive? That's what you speak of. She tells them not just to hold out but to give up on all the produce of the year and set fire to the fields, and stock up as much food as possible and endure until the winter comes. She tells them the money Barcos loaned at interest will keep on increasing if the war is not over quickly and continues at length. Then the gold bank will start to pressure the Barcos family using the interest. Mercenaries move with money, and that money originates from the gold bank. When winter comes and siege warfare becomes disadvantageous, they will inevitably desiccate themselves. Everyone is relieved, thinking this might work the battle of time. Now her father is thinking, because of that incident with Dimitri. He thought that he had raised his daughter to be too immature, but when did his daughter grow up this much? Now they are ready for their desperate resistance. They will keep enduring and fight to the bitter end. Next we see, Roman has finally finished forging his sword, and he named his very own first sword the Salamander. Next, we see a man announcing that they will be given 3 choices. One is to come out of the castle gate and surrender. Second is to have an all-out war with them and with a judge from the central government watching over them. They may also choose a battle between warriors. The Baron Lawrence shouts at them saying, we have no intention of sacrificing the lives of Lawrence's people. The man tells him the third choice, and that is to carry out their desperate resistance within the castle gate. And then he leaves saying, Barcos will claim the price of blood that will be spilled in this siege warfare, and the war has already begun. The guards are shooting arrows from the top of the castle gate. Baron Barco is mad because of the current situation of the war. His guard was also expecting the battle to be over within an hour, but now their flow of battle turned out different than expected. The guard tells him, it looks like the Lawrence completed their preparation for the battle. They dug a deep moat to restrict soldiers from approaching the wall, and the number of arrows they're firing right from the start. They seem to acquire sufficient amounts of war supplies. Baron Barco is thinking, where did they go wrong? He tells his guard to prepare to use that. He is thinking that Baron Lawrence is not a strong-willed person. He even sold his precious child over to Dimitri's family to handle the pressure from Barco. He is the kind of man who shrinks like a coward in times of crisis. Baron Lawrence is telling his men to stay focused and ready the weapons. He tells Flora that she was right, and how did she think of a such thing? She replies, I realized that I myself had to become stronger instead of waiting for the problem to be solved. Her father apologizes for forcing her into a marriage with the Dimitris. She is happy for her father and herself. But a big blast happened in front of them. Boom. The castle wall breaks, and she is shocked to see the weapon they are using as the flare. Flare, a catapult that launches a massive expulsion magic at the castle gate. A magic weapon. Each shot cost a dozen of gold. And she can't believe that Barcos have the connection and wealth to rent flare. There are only 2 ways to stop it. One is to counter it with a magic weapon of the same rank, or come out of the castle to destroy it. And the both conditions are impossible for them. But her maid inform her that they receive a magic call, and it's from Roman Dimitri. She is surprised to hear the name Roman Dimitri and why he did a magic call. Next we see Flora asking Roman how he is going to save Lawrence. He tells her he intends to take revenge on Barco due to personal matters, and all that's left was timing for his vengeance. And if Lawrence goes along with his plan, then he will fast forward that timing and destroy the Barco family for her. And for that, he needs a cause to meddle in this war. Since their marriage has been broken off, he'll need some sort of cause. She asks what sort of cause. He tells her to claim Anthony Barco molested her. All she needs to say is that although nothing happened between 2 of them, she has no choice but to break off the marriage with the Dimitris because she was molested. Her value within the aristocratic world will be reduced to nothing, and her beauty title as the Flower of Lawrence will be shattered. And if she give up those things granted to her as a noble daughter, she can obtain a crucial cause that will solve the danger in Lawrence. And if the time of molestation is before the disengagement, then that would make her one of his people. And he never forgive those who laid their hands on his people. She tells him, I'll fulfill whatever condition you place. So please, wipe out every single one of those Barcos bastards. Next we see, enemies are pushing forward and approaching the walls. One of them tries to hit Baron Lawrence but gets hit by an arrow shot by Flora. She tells her father to open the castle gate and face Barco head on. He is shocked to hear that. She tells him Roman Dimitri has promised to aid them. If they divert their gaze by leaving through the gate, Roman will lead his men and destroy the flare. He asks her why would he do that. She tells him, I have no time to explain in detail, but what I know is Roman is a man who keeps his word. on the other side, Chris is asking Roman if they are going to attack right away. Chris informs him that flare is a very powerful weapon that can destroy castle walls, and if they delay anymore, Lawrence may fall, and suggests him to attack their rear right away. But Roman asks, why should I do that? He tells Chris, rather than death of hundreds of people that he doesn't know, making sure not even one of his people sheds blood is more important to him. And Lawrence will lose many people because they followed an incapable lord. And unlike them, he don't intend to force anyone who has sworn allegiance to him to become a pointless sacrifice. Chris replies, I understand. The gate has opened and the guards are charging forwards. A man is slashing his opponents like tomatoes. He is from the Burge Mercenary Company, and Lawrence's guards are scared to face him. Flora is telling her guards to keep holding and don't retreat. She is thinking if they can't even serve as a proper bait, Roman won't appear. Next we see horse are charging toward the Barco camp, and Baron Barco is surprised to see who is it. And it's none other than our silver knight in a red cape riding a horse to save the princess. Roman is charging with his soldier towards Barco camp. And he is thinking, he promised his men that they will live a life of a predator, but it will be their own strength and willpower that will decide their survival. Next we see Roman telling his men that their priority will be to attack Barco's rear and destroy their siege weapon. Roman is charging with his soldiers, and Baron Lawrence can't believe they came to take them on with such few soldiers. He tells his guard to take care of them, and the guards are ready with their shields and spears. Roman charges towards them and destroy them all. The people of Miram's Orthodox sect once had said, the heavenly demon is always at the vanguard of the demon cult. The heavenly demon is invincible, and facing him head-on is an act of suicide. The guards of Barco is terrified to see the monster in front of them. Kevin is shouting to charge and follow the liege. They starts to attacks, and Kevin Horse gets hit by a spear. He jumps onto the guard, stabbing him with his dagger. And Chris is also thinking just a little more to his liege side, while slashing his opponents. The guard shouts, stop that monster. Roman cuts them all, and his only focus is the flare. He charges toward it. The Burge mercenary Captain Burge recognizes Roman, and he is shocked to see him. He gets ready to take care of Roman, and Roman is coming straight towards him. Burge, a rank mercenary acknowledged by the kingdom, is facing Roman right now. Unlike B-rank mercenary, one can only attain in a rank by knowing how to utilize aura. And Burge is 2-star aura knight. He attacks Roman with all his strength, but surprised to see Roman didn't even budge. Roman starts to attack him, and he realizes Roman is way too strong. Roman attacks him again, and next thing he realizes, his head is on the ground. The Barco's guards are terrified to see the sight, and Kevin and Chris is happy to see their lord glorious victory. Baron Barco shouts saying, kill that son of a bitch, and his guards stop him saying it's too dangerous. Now Roman is ready to destroy the flare. The heavenly demon god art, heavenly demon sword technique, first form, and slice the flare as a bread. He shouts, hear me Lawrence, I, Roman Dimitri, have destroyed the Barco's siege weapon. Lawrence are happy, and Flora is surprised to see he really did it. With the destruction of the flare, Barco, who lost their key weapon, had no choice but to retreat. And Chris has also used his aura in a different way in this battle. He was ridiculed by those around him for following Roman, but Chris was growing. He acknowledges that his liege method is the correct one, and surprised to see all their men in one piece. To prevent being isolated, they had chased after their liege while gritting their teeth. They'd obviously be exhausted. But Chris is happy that not even a single one of the 30 soldiers fell behind. And that's the reason why the liege chose them. But there is only one reason why they were able to stay safe, is because the monster that defies logic is their lord. Roman informed them their role is over. The castle gate opens, and Roman with his men enter inside. And everyone is cheering for the hero who saved the Lawrence. Baron Lawrence had saw that Roman was out of the ordinary from the moment they met, but to think he'd destroy the flare himself. Dimitri has given birth to a tiger, and that tiger would have been his son-in-law. He welcomes Roman, and he is glad to see the hero that saved the Lawrence. Next we see Flora thanking Roman for helping Lawrence in their crisis. Roman tells her he only did his part as promised. She tells him, as someone that represents Lawrence, no matter what, if there's anything that he wants, please speak his mind during the conference. She will take his side to make sure he receives it, no matter what. Roman tells her if her desire to return favor doesn't waver, then he won't go out of his way to refuse it. Inside the conference room, Lawrence are discussing if they send their messenger and propose that they put an end to things like this Barcos might accept. Roman is thinking that the Lawrence people are like herbivores. Roman asks them if he may interject. He tells them Barco is currently under financial pressure to pay back the huge amount of money they borrowed. They have no choice but to conquer Lawrence, and if they send their messenger, they will receive their messenger's head in return. Everyone gets quiet after hearing that. He tells them the soldiers are still carrying the corpses outside, and thus, Barco must not be forgiven. Baron Lawrence tells him they are lacking in strength. Roman tells him they still have one way. Baron Barco is mad at Roman because of him meddling in the war, and turn their advantageous situation into disadvantageous one. And there's nothing left but single combat. Now Baron Lawrence is thinking that their opponents is Barco, who have the connection with the central government and with the large sum of money they borrowed. It's impossible to know what master they will invite to take part in the battle, but Roman tells them that he will provide them with the sense of certainty starting now. If you are certain of the victory, then there's nothing better than a warrior battle. He tells them Barco has 3-star knight. He will most likely to be first up, and I will represent Lawrence and be the first warrior. Whether his opponent is a knight of Barco or an external master, he is confident that he will be able to supply them with one win. But it doesn't mean anything if they win once and lose twice. That's why he will be sending Chris in 3rd round. Chris is a 2-star or a knight but shows signs of genius, and that will allow him to emerge victorious even against a 3-star knight. He tells them to make their decision and gives signal to Flora. She understood what that signal means, and this is what he wants. She tells them she is in favor of the warrior battle. The warrior battle was decided on with the agreement of both parties, and it was set up after only a week. The day of warrior battle, man named Count Erd's warrior battle judge tells them that the warrior is a sacred event that is blessed by Valhalla. Whatever the result is, both parties must comply with it, and any who infringe on this will be judged with the honor of Kingdom of Cairo. He tells them to designate 3 warriors that will represent them and submit an order list. Roman gets suspicious seeing how Baron Barco is calm and carefree. Roman tells Baron Lawrence that they will have to change the order. He thinks Barco should feel more pressured by the interest as time passes by, but they don't look anxious in the slightest. Baron Lawrence tells him that they must have hired a strong external master, a certain man who is sleeping in the chair. Roman noticed something different about him. Baron Lawrence asks Roman, how do you want to change it? Roman was supposed to go for the 1st round and Lawrence knight for the 2nd and lastly Chris for the 3rd round. But now Chris will go for the 1st and Roman will go for the 2nd. Now they gets ready for the battle. They start to introduce themselves. The man tells his name is Jansen of Barco and he is a 3-star or a knight, and our Chris of Lawrence, 2-star or a knight. Everyone there knows Chris the genius of Northeast region and he is a 2-star or a knight. But that talent is going to die for no reason. The audiences are talking like that. The match begins. They both charge towards each other's. Jansen makes his first attack. Chris dodges it. He attack again, but Chris dodges it again. Jansen attack with all his strength. A wide area aura. Chris thinks he can't dodge it, but he remembers his liege saying to distance yourself from the world's logic. Now he thinks a thoughtless outburst of mana cannot proper display the full force of aura. He focuses all his aura in the one point of his sword, and he attacks Jansen. Next, we see Jansen head flying off his body. Everyone cheers for Chris, and he is surprised that as a 2-star or a knight he defeated a 3-star or a knight. Everyone is cheering for Chris. Baron Barco was thinking to wrap it up in the 2nd match, but now the final match has become the most important. But it's fine since he have a surefire card that he spent a fortune on. And now as his surefire card turns, he introduced himself. I am Homeros of Barco, 4-star or a knight. Everyone is shocked to hear his name. Now everyone is thinking, why is a ranker doing here? Homeros, rank 49. Ranks originated from the Valhalla Empire, the sanctuary that those who die honorably are said to go to. They risked their lives to go to Valhalla, and desired for their strength to be acknowledged. The result of their battles were recorded. The name of the strong were written, and that became the start of ranks. As the Valhalla Empire spread throughout the continent, the 100 ranks started to be subjectively selected by the Valhalla Temple. The name Homeros has spread throughout the Cairo kingdom, and he is also called the Wandering Swordsman. Everyone is shocked to see the 49 rank as a warrior of Barco, but Roman is excited to fight a 4-star or a knight, just as his opponent hid his strength. They also have not realized how powerful Roman is. Flora tries to stop him, saying his opponent is 49 rank, Homeros. He is strong enough to be expected to rise to rank 30 or above, and ask him to surrender. There is no reason for him to risk his life in a hopeless battle. But Roman tells her he has no desire to explain every little thing to her and don't bother him. Roman gets into the ring and introduces himself. Now they are ready for the fight. Homeros is thinking that Roman should be around 2-star knight, and he can't believe he is going to face a small fry like Roman. He charges toward Roman thinking he will finish it quickly. He attacks Roman, but Roman blocked the attack. Now Homeros is also getting interested in Roman since he blocked his attack. Seeing Roman is putting a good fight, he starts to get serious. But Roman tells him, block this if you can. A black wave form in front of Homeros, and next thing we see, Roman have slash Homeros using the Heavenly Demon Sword technique, 3rd move. Next we see a man asking Homeros to take part in a warrior battle between 2 remote families. Since he has nothing to do, he agrees. And now everyone is shocked to see the superstar of Cairo, who rise in the ranking before even reaching the 4-star and was aiming to break the rank 30 barrier, was killed with a single slash. Roman standards are not based on this world. But in his past life, the Mirren was like a galaxy filled with the martial masters. Unlike that place, the mindset of the people in this world was inefficient and garbage. Roman asked the judge to announce the result, and with a terrified look on his face, he announced the winner of the second round. Chris realized that this is his liege's true strength. He is thinking if his liege possessed this much strength before their first duel, but he is certain that his liege wasn't strong enough to overpower Homeros at that time. How is it possible for a person to grow so strong in just a short amount of time? He thought after defeating Jansen, the day he would surpass his liege wasn't too far ahead, but that was a foolish thought. The judge tells the both family to send out a new warrior after discussion. Baron Barco is shocked, thinking how did Homeros lose? He was a 4-star knight. He was one of the very few true knights of the kingdom. He thinks if the mercenary guild sent him a fake Homeros, the guard tells him that they have to send out a warrior. But now they cannot afford to lose any more of their force and tells him to send out Benson, since he caused the Barco family's reputation to fall during the social party. This will be his chance to redeem himself. Now Benson is in the ring, scared and terrified. He states his name, Benson of Barco. The audience is surprised to see a knight they have never seen or heard of before. Seeing him, Kevin rushes to his liege and asks permission to face him. Looking at the look of his face and eyes, Roman granted him for the fight. Kevin tells him, I will be back soon. Benson is thinking, how did he got himself into this mess? He did his absolute best for Barco, but the price of his loyalty is to die in a warrior battle. But after seeing Kevin, he puts a big smile on his face. They gets ready for fight. Benson charged towards Kevin and attacks him, but Kevin dodges the strike and aimed for Benson's neck, but Benson kicked him. But Kevin is not going down that easily. Chris is thinking, the difference in their build is enormous. What was his liege thinking sending Kevin out there? Kevin is getting hits, but he is still holding his ground. Next we see Roman telling Kevin, ever since he cut his own hand off, the demonic spirit art settled itself inside his mind and tells him to drag out the demon inside him. Now Kevin is dragging out the demon inside him. He hears a voice telling him to watch out above you. He dodges the attack. The voice tells him, let's tear this son of bitch into pieces. He wanted to be a useful sword to his liege, more useful than Chris. Kevin charged toward Benson. Benson is shocked Kevin is using aura. He raises his sword and tries to stop Kevin, but it's too late. Kevin pierces his sword into the chest of Benson. Everyone is shocked to see the brutal sight. Kevin splattered the blood of Benson everywhere. He comes to his liege saying, I have returned. Roman praise him for his hard work and he puts a big smile on his face. The warrior battle between Lawrence and Barco. 3 wins out of 3 matches. It was Lawrence's overwhelming victory, and in the center of it all was Roman Dimitri. The news have spread about the war, and people from all over the continent started to praise Roman's accomplishments. People are talking about the war of Barco and Lawrence and the savior of Lawrence, who destroyed the flare with single strike and splattered Homeros everywhere. The sleeping dragon of Dimitri has finally ascended into the sky, and is starting to accumulate his own heroic tales one by one. Barco Castle. Baron Barco is shocked, thinking, now it's all over for their family because of Roman Dimitri. Now he thinks Roman has done something that must never be done in the aristocracy, and this is his last chance to save the Barco family. Few days later, Baron Barco has invited a few nobles to inform them that they went to war with Lawrence with a cause, but Roman Dimitri meddled in the war without any cause. And cause is extremely important in the aristocracy. And not only that, there was not a single warrior from Lawrence among the warrior who participated in the warrior battle. He tells them what cause could Roman Dimitri possibly have to help Lawrence, since they break off their marriage, and right now they are just strangers. His action has crossed the line. Other nobles also agrees to him. Now he is thinking, as long as he can demand the Dimitri to take responsibility and receive compensation from them, he can resolve the money problem with the Golden Bank. But Roman barges in and tells them, I heard you had many complaints about me. In that case, say it straight to my face. Chris tries to stop Roman from going to Barco alone, since it will be an act of suicide. But Roman tells him, since it's clear that Barco has a grudge against me, then right now is the perfect time to pluck the root of revenge. Next we see Roman asking, with what cause did Barco open a meeting like this? Baron Barco tells him, since a man of common origin like yourself doesn't seem to be aware of aristocratic law, interfering in the war without a cause is not permitted in the Cairo kingdom. He starts to blabber about the aristocratic law and all. Roman asks him, have you said your piece? Then I believe it's time to tell you my cause. He tells them that Lawrence and Dimitri had a plan to be connected through matrimony. But why do you think the marriage was broken off? My reputation, my experience with women, none of the rumors are true. The truth is because I was threatened by the eldest son of Barco, Anthony Barco. He tells them that it was during the Barco's social party. He was close with Anthony at that time, and fell into the trap. When he woke up, he was in the same room as Emily Barco, and Anthony Barco used that as an excuse to threaten him to cancel his marriage with Lawrence. It was a thoroughly planned trap to separate Lawrence and Dimitri. Baron Barco yells at him, saying that you expect me to believe that nonsense. Everyone knows how much of a piece of trash you were, and the fact that you are trying to cover up the truth disgusts me. Roman tells him, I know you would say that. Then I will tell you the other reason. He tells them that Anthony Barco had crossed a line. He molested one of my people, my betrothed, Flora Lawrence. From the shock, she ultimately chose to break off our engagement. He tells them to feel free to confirm this with Flora Lawrence. Roman asks them, do you truly believe that I had no sufficient cause to interfere in this war? Now there is nothing more the Baron Barco can do, so he thinks he has to stall for time. He tells Roman that he will confirm the truth in the later time. But Roman tells him he has two choices: one, to wrap things up by simply having Anthony Barco punished, or let this issue grow into a dispute between their two families. And if he doesn't choose right here and now, he will go back to his family and reveal all of this to his father. Baron Barco is thinking they absolutely cannot go against Dimitri with their situation right now. The Barco family will be exterminated. Baron Barco tells him that he will have his eldest, Anthony, apologize to you on his knees. But Roman tells him, in what world does the perpetrator decide the method of punishment? I will be the one to decide how will he be punished. Next we see Anthony begging his father to save him. He doesn't want to do a judgment duel, but his father tells him to confront the reality and never forget this humiliation, and prepare yourself to at least lose an arm. Thank you for watching. Next, we see the judgment duel between Roman and Anthony Barco. Anthony knows that he cannot win against Roman and starts to beg for his life. If he spares his life just this once, he will pay this debt for the rest of his life. Others, nobles, and his father gets disgusted to see Anthony's pathetic side. Roman tells him that the Barco family is finished, and what reason do I, who you blatantly disrespected and threw into a trap with your wicked plan, have to forgive you? Roman pierces his sword through Anthony, saying, there's no such reason. Next, we see Baek Jung-hyuk, who was once in a brotherly survival conflict. Not only did he endure his brother's assassination attempts every single night, he also stabbed them in the heart to end their lives. His eldest brother asks him if he knows no compromise, seeing how he kills every one of his brothers during the fight. His eldest brother, who accepts every opponent he defeated on his side, unlike Baek Jung-hyuk, who kills everyone during fights. But he tells him that completely trampling on anyone who shows him hostility is his way of living, and he will continue to live that way. Anthony Barco's death. It was a result nobody expected. Baron Barco didn't expect that Roman would kill his son. Roman tells him criminal dying in a judgment duel is a common occurrence. He orders his guard to kill Roman, but they don't have the guts to fight against the monster. Baron Barco realized that Roman was planning on doing this from the start, and Roman tells him, I could no longer live under the same sky as the Barco family from the moment Anthony Barco threatened me. He tells the other nobles that if they don't let go of that thread-like connection with the Barco family, then he will be the one they will have to face. He tells Baron Barco that he will keep a close eye on how the Barco family will live on from now on, and will continue to attack until they completely fall to the ground. Now Baron Barco is thinking, they have messed with someone they shouldn't have. A few days later, Baron Barco, who could not pay his debt to the Golden Bank, attempted a moonlight flit, and was found dead on a nameless hill, and the Barco family suffered a trifling end. Next we see Hans asking his young master, where are you coming back from, in the middle of the night? Roman tells him he went for a stroll, but he got some blood on his shirt and face. Hans is worried about his young master and tells him to take caution always. Roman tells him that he is one of his people, the heavenly demon. There was one rule that allowed him to become the heavenly demon, is protecting those under him. Roman tells him that he will always do his best to protect the people under him. While there was uproar over the issue with Barco family, the Melik family hosted a social gathering. The lady of the Melik family, Helena Melik, who is thinking, from now on Dimitri family will be the central family of the Northeast. It's the perfect chance for Melik family, who was on Dimitri's side from the start. Lady of the Dimitri family, Rihanna Dimitri. Everyone greets her. Rihanna Dimitri, the wife of Baron Dimitri. She possesses a surprising aptitude for politics, and if she hadn't set the stage beforehand, the Dimitri family would have collapsed before they even managed to establish their position in the aristocracy due to Barco's interference. She tells them the reason why they gathered all here is to start getting to know each other from now on. And not everyone has been striving in the same direction until now. She is stealthily hitting the nerves of those who had sided with Barco, while showing generosity by accepting them on her side. The other ladies are trying to get their hands on Roman for their daughter, and she is thinking that her son Roman Dimitri, who was considered as a moron of the family. But now everything has changed. His potential as a 4-star or a knight That alone secured a promising future, and if he could even succeed the Dmitri family, there will be no groom more desirable than him. She is glad they all think so highly of her son. However, he has already been hurt greatly. That's why she wants Roman to find someone who he truly loves. The other ladies are happy thinking, first one who captures his heart wins. Next we see Flora thinking realistically they lost the war with Barco. She thought they'd have a chance if they lasted until winter, but the reality that rushed in like flood had many variables. But Roman predicted all those variables and dealt with them boldly and saved Lawrence. She wants to be like Roman, but stops her thinking. From thinking, what is she thinking? But she wants to know what kind of person is he. She goes out to get some air, while thinking with what reason to meet Roman again. A girl comes saying, "It's been a while, sis," and her name is Sylvia Lawrence, a collateral relative of the Lawrence family. Flora comes to her father asking, "The Lawrence family is hosting a party in Dmitri, but why didn't he tell her?" He tells her he realized many things from this incident. She showed him her judgment skills in a situation where he couldn't do a thing. And thanks to her bringing Roman, he were able to win the war. That's why he will not make the same mistake of lowering her value again and will support her in anything she wishes, and won't pressure to do anything for the family anymore and tells her to live only for her dream. That was a very touching speech, but she wants to be the one to go to the party. She asks why he invited Sylvia to the party. He tells her that just because of my greed. She realizes that he wants to reconnect the thread between them and Dmitri through Sylvia. She tells him she will go with Sylvia and be her guide. He tells her she don't have to go out of her way to do that. But with a look like that, telling her father that she will guide Sylvia, he had no choice but to let her go. Next we see Valhalla Temple, Cairo branch. They have got the news that a son of a noble, who is only 25, killed a 4-star Aura Knight in a single strike. A monster prodigy has been born, and Willis, the evaluating priest of Valhalla's ranking, will go and confirm it himself. The party is scheduled in the evening, and the young ladies of the nobles visited early. Sylvia thinks Dmitri is as dull as the rumors said. They walk through the street and think how people live in a place like this. Sylvia's father is Baron Lawrence's brother and had established himself in the capital. So for Sylvia, Lawrence and Dmitri is like the countryside compared to the capital. They notice some miners coming from the mines. They ask why is miners walking in the street. Well, this is the problem with Dmitri. But Flora noticed among the miners, our Giga Chad is among them. Hans rushes to him and start to clean and wipe his face. The ladies notice that he was Roman Dmitri. Sylvia thinks he is more handsome than she expected. And that body, fantastic. Now she is thinking, which noble family would possibly make their son do mining work? This is obviously a lesson for the successor, and he is passed in her test. They approach him and Sylvia introduces herself and give him her sincerest thanks for helping Lawrence. And he is as dashing as the rumors say. But our Giga Chad tells her, understood, and let's go Hans. Flora laughs thinking he's the same as always, like she knows him. Hans tells him he should have treated them more gently, but if they were worth it, he would have. But they ridiculed the miners of Dmitri. Hans asks him how much longer he is going to continue mining. Roman tells him the root of Dmitri lies in the smithy, and beyond that is mine, using the iron ores mined through the blood and sweat of miners. To forge ironwork by heating it in a furnace is the essence of Dmitri, and he simply want to experience it alongside miners and sympathize with them. Next we see the training ground where we see Chris training his soldiers. The soldiers, Roman had taught them the heavenly demon cult's fundamental training techniques, the Asura cultivation and Asura sword technique. It could unlock their potential as Aura swordsmen, and the knowledge could be considered a treasure. But it's still not enough for Roman. What he needs is his own intelligence that can investigate a target inside out. And the problem to create an intelligence force, he needs enough wealth and manpower to match it. He calls Chris and asks, how is the training going? He tells him they are impressive zeal and are quick learner and can expect much progress from them soon. Roman tells him he is going to teach him a new swordsmanship, and the name of the swordsmanship is Lightning Flash. The Lightning Flash sword once ruled the Murim and now is about to hand it down to Chris. Next, we see the party has begun. Roman enters the room and the ladies are like, who is that Giga Chad? The lady starts to greet him and introduce themselves. Lady Sylvia comes and tells him he is just as amazing as the rumors state, and she would like to have someone like him as her spouse. Roman tells her she flatter him too much. Everyone starts to chat with him. Next, Roman is outing to get some fresh air. Flora comes saying you're a great actor. She thought he doesn't care much about relationships. Normally he wouldn't, but the party is one that his parents and their guest have been invited to. So, it's different from his usual course. And their first meeting was also like this. Now she is thinking what sort of life has he lived for his standard to be so firm. She asks why is he doing the mining. He asks how did Lawrence rose to its current position. People thinks Lawrence rose up due to its feudal soil and abundant produce. But Lawrence succeeded through business, and it also explains why Baron Lawrence's brother became a merchant in the capital. She is surprised that he knows so much about her family history. but she asks what does it have to do with mining. He tells her, the root of the Dimitri lies in the iron mine, and by spending time in the iron mine and understanding the miners is the duty of one who possesses the Dimitri name. Now she is thinking. Her mind, which was still stray after the war, had finally become clear and organized. It was a good decision to meet Roman. A few days later, Flora departed from Lawrence to the capital. The flower of the Lawrence left the greenhouse to the outside world at last. Next we see the iron mine master, Jacob, and Master Hendrik drinking together. Hendrik asked him about Roman. Half a month ago, the miners heard that young Master Roman is going to work in the iron mine. Morkan, a veteran miner, tells his fellow miners that Lord Dimitri, he's only treating the blacksmiths well and neglected the miners. The three successors of Dimitri have learned how to forge when they were young, but they haven't once learned how to mine. The foundation of Dimitri lies in the iron. Let's show Roman how difficult mining work is. They all agrees. Jacob tells them young master will be working with them starting today, but none of them give a damn about that. Jacob tells them their first priority in the mine is safety, second is safety, and third is also safety. The city of mining, Dimitri. Roman is thinking what he can do for his future plans in this land, and he will be learning everything concerning Dimitri. Next we see, miners are working. An old man is telling Roman the reason why Dimitri iron work is so popular. The iron ore they produce are of the highest quality. Other estates suffer significant losses from the distribution process of acquiring iron ore, but Dimitri can perform all the process within the estate. They retain significant earnings from it. The material can be supplied and distributed within the estate, and the premium of this being the city of blacksmiths. They can earn more from their iron work than the other estate. Roman is thinking that the amount of wealth Dimitri has accumulated may be greater than he imagined. Markin tells them that this is not the place for chit-chat and please do not bother others. Roman apologized, saying I will focus on my work. 1 week later, the miners have still not spoken with Roman. Markin comes and tells him he's been watching him working this past week and asks him, why are you working here? Not even the second-born, Rodwell, the most powerful successor of Dimitri, has ever once come to visit the iron mine, but you the eldest Roman. So he naturally thought Roman was making light of mining work. But after watching him with his own eyes, Roman worked harder than he expected, and he always fulfilled his quota. And he also heard from his friend that the Lord never ordered him to work in the iron mine, and Roman volunteers himself to work here. Roman asked him there is two answers, an ideal answer and a realistic answer, and which one he would like to hear. Markin is ready to hear both of it. He tells him the ideal answer first. Dimitri is a mining city and many people work in the iron mine for living, so he wanted to experience their daily lives himself. And as long as his surname is Dimitri, it is required of him to do so. And the realistic reason is he is not the master of Dimitri, and everything that Dimitri owns, it's belonged to his father. That's why he came to the iron mine to find out what he can do for Dimitri. Markin laughs after hearing his answer. He thought Roman came here simply because of the battle of succession. He realized that Roman knows the importance of the work that the miners do. He tells Roman that he is ready to answer any question he have. Markin sincerely answered. Roman endless shower of questions. The scale of Dimitri's iron mine is the highest in the kingdom, especially the unknown land called the edge of the continent beyond Dimitri. If everything up to there developed, the fortune Dimitri could gain would be endless. And actually, compared to the conditions Dimitri possesses, its output isn't all that great. Due to the dangerous working conditions, the mining speed has reduced, and the drop in the speed is directly related to the drop in the output. Lord Dimitri has provided them with much support for their safety, but mining work is still very dangerous, and earthquakes are frequent in the northeast region. But suddenly they heard a big commotion. A man tells them the 8th shaft collapsed and one of the workers was buried. Roman tells them he will go and bring that man. Markin tries to stop him, but he tells him those who carries the name Dimitri has a responsibility to fulfill. He went down to the 8th shaft and bring back the man with him. He treat that injured man and tells the other to take him to the doctor, and if he needs potion for the treatment, he will pay for it. He informs the other miners, no matter how well one prepares, they cannot do anything against natural disaster. He tells them that he will resolve the difficulties they are facing, using any means necessary, and it may not take much time either. Next we see Roman father, who is scolding him for risking his life, and he almost lost his son. But Roman tells him he just did what he had to do, and if he could go back in time he would make the same decision. His father tells him to stop working in the mines from now on. Roman asks him if he works in the blacksmith's workshop. He wouldn't stop him like this, and for him to understand Dimitri, he has to work in the iron mine, not in the blacksmith's workshop. His father agrees, and Roman tells him about some difficulties miners are going through. His father provides the worker with the safety measures, but they never know when the natural disaster will happen. But there's a solution, and that is using a magical artifacts. But it will cost a huge amount to protect the entire mine with artifacts. Besides, the performance of the artifacts is not always good either. But by installing the artifact, the production of iron ore will increase. It will cost a huge amount to install the artifacts, but they will earn more money than before. Then use the portion of the profit for the welfare of workers. His father is ready and asks him how much he should invest. Next we see, in the Murim world, there were two groups, Yibing Goa and Hao Moon, famous for their information gathering. Yibing collected information through listening to people's stories, and Hao Moon through social vulnerable groups. Roman chose the miners because through them he will be able to seize the information in the northeast region. And with his father's money and manpower, he will establish Hao Moon's information power in this world. But there is still something not enough: the information gathered from the continent. The staff can't handle the information professionally. They need someone to collect the information from outside, and there is only one person suitable for it. Next we see Chris telling his men that he will teach them how to use mana and swordsmanship, and it's a gift from their Lord Roman. Everyone is surprised to hear that. Mana method, it is like a treasure. Even father doesn't tell his son how to use mana, but Roman is giving them for free, and the name of the method is Asura. Lacus is surprised to see that just practicing a few days he started to feel mana. He was someone who lost all his wealth to learn how to use mana, and getting this method he was happy. Next we see Lacus telling Roman that he will not be in charge of the information guild because during the war, he vowed to give his life to his master and wants to stay by his side. Roman tells him the mana method and the swordsmanship was just a price for following him into the battlefield and risking their life. And what will he give to someone who deserves more than his soldiers? Listening to those words, he agrees. Next we see Roman have come to the iron mine, and everyone starts to greet and thank him for improving their safety measures. And an old man thank him for saving his only son. Public sentiments for Dimitri turn to Roman. In such an atmosphere, Baron Romero is greatly annoyed. 1 month has passed after the war with Barco, and the house of Dimitri has a meeting regarding the one who were in support of Barco. Dimitri will not show them generosity but arrogance, and will make them know what it means to go against Dimitri. Jonathan tell them if they had go to war against Barco, Barco would have been an immense threat to Dimitri as well through variables such as flare and Homeros. That's why they need to strengthen their military power and acquire some magic weapon as well. They have plenty of funds thanks to young Master Roman who installing the artifact through the mining shafts, and they gain 30% of profit in just a short amount of time. And the losses through the artifacts were manageable through increased earnings. Roman judgment was correct. He found the problem and come up with the most ideal solution. Jonathan asked about handling the matter of succession. The Lord chose young Master Rodwell 3 years ago, and back then young Master Roman was not fit for the role, but now everything has changed. The war with Barco, the matter of iron mine's safety, and his genius as swordsmanship. He shows the sign of a leader. Now the battle of succession between Roman and Rodwell. A ripple had been created in the tranquil Dimitri. Lord Dimitri is thinking the matter of succession requires the agreement of key individuals: the vassal, the iron master, and lastly the master blacksmith. He summons Hans and asks him about his opinion of Roman to be a successor of the house of Dimitri. He replies if the Lord has asked this question 3 months ago he would have answered no, but now everything has changed, and young master care for his people. He started working in the iron mine to gain an understanding of the people of Dimitri, and the current young Master Roman is someone who cares about his responsibilities as one who carries the Dimitri name. Then the Lord calls Iron Master Jacob, and Markin is also came with him, and they also starts to talk positively about young Master Roman, who cares for his people, and the people will like the successor that they trust and followed with all their heart. Now all he needs is the opinion of Master Blacksmith. Next we see Roman has sent his soldiers equipment for repairing, and Hendrik gets interested in Roman's sword and wanted to know who made it for him, and he needs to ask him by himself. He finishes up the repair of the equipment quickly. Chris is surprised to see the repairing finished up so fast. The man tells him Master Hendrik was on a high for some reason and made all the blacksmiths to focus on this job. Next, Hendrik is asking Roman who made that sword and where did he got it. Roman tells him that he didn't get from anywhere, but he made it himself for himself. Hendrik gets mad after hearing him and doesn't believe him, but Roman tells him he really is the one that made the sword and also named it to the continent Salamander. And if he doesn't believe, then he is ready to show it. They comes into the workshop. Roman tells him he recently started forming a sword to replace Salamander, and he is ready to show him the process of forming that sword. He starts to remove his clothes, and Hendrik thinks he doesn't know the basic of blacksmith, trying to form with wearing any safety clothes. But his eyes gets wide open after seeing Roman hammering the iron. The process of making sword in Murim and his current world is very different. Seeing him hammering the iron like that, handling of steel, speed of his striking, and the sound of hammer and steel colliding. It reminds Hendrik of Lord Romero in his prime. Hendrik apologized for suspecting him to be the maker of the sword. Roman given the salamander as a gift, now that he have forged a new sword for himself. 3 years ago, Hendrik is against Roman for him to be the successor of the house of Dmitri. Now Baron Dmitri is thinking. Roman has changed, but he is still worried Hendrik won't admit it. But Hendrik agrees with a big smile on his face. Baron is surprised that he has changed his opinion about Roman. Hendrik tells him at the time when Lord ordered him to give some weapon to Mr. Roman. He gave him bad products, but what he said at that time opened his eyes, saying that his action in providing product of this level to the soldiers was not less than murder. He started to change his opinion from that moment, and he also saw him forging a sword, and showed him the sword that Roman forged. The Lord is surprised to see the sword. Hendrik tells him, "I think I need to reconsider the decision I made 3 years ago." Next, we see Baron Dmitri has received a letter from his son Rodwell. He was recently upgraded to rank S, and will be going to the field as a commanding officer to gain experience, and will graduate with the best grades at the Royal Academy and make him proud. Now Baron Dmitri is confused. They both have amazing talents, but even Rodwell, who is considered a genius, cannot be compared to the current Roman. Roman is talented enough to be known throughout the entire continent. After Rodwell graduated, and Roman will perform his duty in the military defense, then he will declare the battle of succession. Next we see, the people from the Valhalla temple have come. They have come to confirm whether it needs to reflect in the ranking or not. Rank rating. Even if they are of lower rank, families who have rank is considered worthy of recognition from only one fact. The Lord tells them to rest today, since Roman is busy, and meet him tomorrow. Hans is guiding them to their room, but the priest noticed the training of the soldiers, and asked if he could monitor them. After seeing them training and sparring, his eyes get wide open. Next we see, among the man Roman selected, none of them were aura swordsmen. Roman is telling a soldier that he has a martial physique, but no one understands what that meant at that time. But one day, not even a month later, Pucky succeeded in manifesting an aura. After that, the soldiers started to train even harder to get stronger. Next, Pucky and Kevin is training. Kevin attacks him and sent him flying, jumped over his body and put the sword on his neck, saying your head would have been rolling on the floor if he was in a battlefield. Will, as the priest, gets surprised to see them and thinks they might be Baron Romero's knight, but Hans tells him they are the private soldiers of young Master Roman. He gets shocked and asks how could aura swordsmen be treated as mere soldiers. Hans tells him if he is talking about Pucky and Kevin. They were not an aura swordsman recently. Kevin was a commoner who young Master specially took in, and Pucky was a C-rank mercenary. They simply grow strong under young Master teaching. Now he is even more shocked, thinking who in the world is Roman Dmitri. Next day, the time to meet Roman. Roman arrives and his eyes gets wide open again after seeing him. He asks him, is it true that you defeated Homeros in the warrior battle? Roman replies it is true. He tells him it a great accomplished for a young man at his 25 to defeat a ranker that is 49th in the ranking. He starts to give him info about the ranking battle. That is divided into an official and unofficial battle. Official battle. One must defeat an opponent in front of the observer. The result of an official battle are reflected in the ranking immediately after, and they are provided with an ID that verifies their rank. But unofficial battle is where one defeats a ranker in an abrupt battle, and the ranker spot becomes vacant. They cannot claim the rank of the rank. However, if they verify their qualifications, the lower spot of ranking is granted to the winner of the unofficial battle. And to confirm the qualification, they used an aura gauge. Roman asked him wouldn't it be easier for him to defeat a higher ranker in an official battle to rose higher. But he tells him there are several procedures that must be taken to prepare an official battle, and there are no ranker in the northeast region of the Kingdom of Cairo. So they proceed with the aura gauge test. The color of the aura gauge will change once they infuse mana into it. Red for 1 star, orange for 2, yellow for 3, and anything above 4 star will display a green color. They are ready to begin the test now, and Roman infuse his aura, and Willis is surprised to see. The aura gauge changing color so fast, which usually takes around 5 minutes. Roman infused more aura by using the method of Murim, and the aura gauge breaks. Willis is shocked to see the aura gauge to broke like that. The aura gauge, an item created by the greatest mind of the continent. The highest color it can display is green. Even if mana that exceeds the threshold is infused into it, the aura gauge will still function without complications. Roman asks is it defective? Willis also don't have a clear answer to that, but he was certain before it broke. The aura gauge surely shined green, and Roman Dmitri is a 4-star swordsman. He is not some hidden dragon that has yet to soar, but a fully mature monster. The appearance of a ranker with the potential to reach 6 stars. The Kingdom of Cairo and beyond that the continent of Salamander will be overturned. He tells Roman that he is unable to make any hasty judgments and will send the results soon, and then he leaves, thinking he must find out more about Roman. Willis is thinking, how can someone who was considered a moron change this much in just a short amount of time? Subjugation of Bloodfang and the war against Barco. Not only is he monstrously powerful, but also has the intellect to use it effectively. Willis gets ready to inform his higher-up through magic call, and he raises Roman Dimitri's status to recruitment target. Valhalla Empire. They are not savages simply crazed by combat. They act cunningly as their empire's status rose, and knew how to use their tradition of the ranking system. Because all those who possess talent aspired to one day rise to possess the seat of a ranker, Valhalla was easily able to discover them, even though their numbers were very few. The man in the magic call tells him to turn Roman's mind to Valhalla, and Willis tells him that he will declare Roman as a 3-star or a knight, not a 4-star. And the matter will be finalized by granting him the unofficial position of rank 100. And the fact he made in the ranking will cause an uproar in Cairo. Next day, Willis's announcement overturned the entirety of Cairo. It was the birth of the young ranker. Capital of Cairo, Kairos. A man is informing about Roman to Marquess Benedict, the authority figure of the central government. He asks Roman's age, and at 25. He asks the movement of other powers. They are moving very quickly, especially the two empires. Currently, the Cairo is split into 4 factions. The royal faction that support the king, the aristocratic faction that focused around Marquess Benedict, and the pro-Kronos and the pro-Valhalla factions under foreign influence. He tells him to send someone immediately so that he lose Roman to others, especially the royal faction. Cairo shares its western border with the Kronos Empire, and southern with the Kingdom of Hector. Kronos demands Cairo to become their subject nation and has attacking them over the border for many years. Next we see 2 guys, and one of them is Rodwell Dimitri. They are there to burn the corpse, and his friend tells him about the news of his brother becoming a ranker. But he doesn't believe it, saying it must be a rumors, because his brother Roman can't even take care of himself. How can he become a ranker? And soon enough the truth will be exposed. Next we see the messenger of King of Cairo offering Roman to be the royal knight, and to secure Roman Dimitri, the hidden dragon of the frontier. The 4 faction of Cairo began to make their moves. Thank you for watching. Next part is going to blow your mind. So please do like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And don't forget to ring that notification bell. Next, we see, to be the royal knight is the highest honor a knight could attain. And the messenger is offering Roman to be a royal knight and swear his allegiance to his majesty. But Roman tells him, is that all they can offer? He is the eldest son of Dimitri and he is not lacking anything. So why should he bother going to the capital to become a royal knight? He tells him if he becomes a royal knight, he will be given his own mansion, and the Dimitri family will be given a higher title. Roman asks him, is this the best the royal family can give? The messenger gets mad, saying, you're making a big mistake right now. He will become a royal knight, get a new title, and even a new mansion in the capital. It's a reward that is too much for someone like him. Roman tells him, you're the one delusional here. He tells him that he got a better offer from Count Gregory's family from 5 days ago, and they also wanted him to be their blood relative through political marriage. From the Denver family 3 days ago, they wanted to sponsor him. And last night, the Benedict family, they offered conditions that are 3 times more compared to other families. And next month he is going to make Dimitri self-sufficient. The messenger tells him, but still, there's no reason why he shouldn't choose us. And as you said, there are traitors who are trying to devour the kingdom, thanks to the royal knight commander, who is preventing the rebellion. And as he knows, Cairo is a small country and all they can promise him is his seat as a royal knight. However, with all due respect, he begs him to offer his strength to his majesty. Roman tells him he does not intend to accept any proposal, but as of now, he won't throw them away, and asks the man to return for today. The messenger tells him he will be waiting for the day when Roman pledges his loyalty to his majesty. 4 proposals and 4 refusals. Roman is buying time by leaving room for all the forces since they're going to be hostile to him anyways. Next we see, Roman is training and a man from Valhalla comes and greets him. He was wearing the Dimitri staff uniform. Roman looks at him with scary eyes and tells him he had conveyed his message through the Denver family. So why are they here again? He apologizes for his rude manner, but he has come because Valhalla has true feelings for him and had fallen in love with his potential. They offer him his own title as well as an iron mine and will give him fertile territory. And they will also allow him to access out their Class 1 treasury they keep in their treasury. Those records are classified based on the level of their content. Except for the special records, which is the highest grade, all of those are stored in Class 1. But Roman refuses all of their offers. Roman tells him the reason for his refusal, currently the satiation of the Kingdom of Cairo, the kingdom's royal knight, Marquis Benedict, Count Gregory, and Count Denver. Pledging his loyalty to one is not as easy as it's look, and he wants to take his time to see what is it that is worth risking his life. Roman makes seem like he'll be going until the end once he swear his allegiance. The man tells him not to be late and give an answer to their proposal by then. He leaves after that and warns Roman to watch out for their southern front. Next we see Roman and his family. Roman is ready to go to the battlefield. He leaves saying, "I'll be back in good health." Rihanna tells her husband not to worry. He is going to the southern front, which is safe. Roman is ready to go to the battlefield with his soldiers. The last stop before arriving in the southern front. His soldiers are surprised that their lord rented an inn for them. Inside the inn, someone has a problem with them, and it's the eldest son of the Albert family, Henry Albert. Next we see the House of Benedict has pulled some string to send Roman to the southern front. The southern front, contrary to Marquess, who believes it is safe. The Valhalla intelligence agent said it was a ticking time bomb ready to detonate. He will have to find out once he get there. Henry Albert is causing problem to Roman soldiers. Roman comes and asks what's going on. Chris tells him Henry is telling them to get out since he'd like to use this inn. Roman asks him, "Why should we leave?" Henry tells him upsetting him will turn out very bad for them and will give them 10 minutes to get out of his sight. Roman tells him he will not leave and they can simply solve this matter with. Roman draws his sword and tells him, "Defeat me. I will gladly leave this inn." Henry gets mad, but his soldier notices something. He stops Henry and tells him that man is Roman Dmitri, the youngest ranker in history. Henry gets scared. The Cairo's youngest ranker in the war against Barco. He killed their eldest son in front of his own father, a demon devoid of blood and tears. That Roman Dmitri. He thinks he is dead. The moment he draws his sword, that monster will chop him into pieces. Henry tells him it's his bad and will wrap this matter and let him go this once. Roman comes near him, which make him shit his pants, I think. He leaves the inn like a hare runs after seeing the lion. On that day, similar incidents happened with all three scurrying away after hearing Roman's name. Next, we see bartender telling Roman that Southern Front is like a resort for the nobles and a perfect place for them to complete their national defense duty. Roman has found out that the kingdom of Hector's scouts crossed the border, and it can't be certain whether they are preparing for war or not. And currently Southern Front is by no means a sanctuary. Roman, he can smell a familiar scent of blood in the air. Next we see Viscount Bale Frank, the commander. He is giving information about their training and all, but no one is listening to him, except our Giga Chad Roman. The commander tells them if they act in a way of disregard for the rules, they will be sent to the Western Front as a punishment. Roman thinks a punishment to be dispatched to the Western Front. Who would? But he is surprised to see that everyone giving their attention to the commander. Next, a guard comes and informs Roman that the commander would like to speak to him privately. The commander welcomes him with a big smile. He tells Roman that he was elated just from the news of the birth of a hidden dragon in Dmitri and a youngest ranker. He asks Roman, "Is it true that Marquess Benedict pulled string for you to be sent to the Southern Front?" Roman replies, "That's correct, but I didn't ask him to do so." Hearing it, he gets straight to the point and tells him he will take good care of him in the Southern Front, but when he meet Marquess Benedict in the future, simply tell him that Viscount Bale Frank made my life easier in the Southern Front. Roman thinks there is no reason to refuse what he's willing to give him. Roman comes out of the room and Henry was outside waiting to tell him that he messed with the wrong guy and the Bale Frank commander is his uncle. But Roman asks him, "What do you expect me to do with that information?" Henry goes inside the room to complain about Roman to his uncle. He tells his uncle that someone threatened him with his life. His uncle gets mad and asks him to bring him to that person. But after seeing Roman, Henry gets a slap on his face. Poor Henry. Next, we see Henry when he was a kid and his uncle loved him so much. But what happens to that uncle? Now he even hit him. Knowing the other party is Roman, he apologizes for his nephew. He scolded Henry for his action and tells him from now on he will stick him with Roman in everything and form an amicable relationship with Roman, no matter what. And if he doesn't follow what his uncle said, he will send him to the Western Front. Viscount Bale has provided Roman with a private quarters. Next we see a man named McBurney, Southern Training Camp General Instructor. He was a commander, started from a common origin and rose to a commander who served the Kingdom of Cairo for 10 years. But during a fierce battle, he lost his sword-wielding right arm. His life of a warrior has been brought to an end. After that, he was appointed as a training instructor in the Southern Training Camp. There he saw the training in the Southern Front was completely different from the Western. Here, the nobles never train and only lays around. Seeing them like that, he doesn't even bother to train them. But his eyes gets wide open when he sees the Giga Chad Roman and his tribe ready for the training. He is surprised to see, in the Southern Training Camp, they've lined up in perfect rows, and even have a commander. He tells Roman, the Southern Training Camp does not force nobles to train, and he can go to the shade and watch the training like others. Roman tells him, their enemies' attacks do not discriminate between status on the battlefield, and for a commander to perform their role in various terrain, they need at least a bare minimum level of stamina to keep up with their soldiers, so the instructor doesn't need to put a fake smile in front of him. and he is ready to receive any form of training, regardless of my status. It was the first time hearing a noble saying that he will devote himself to his training. Now he is ready to give them good training. They will begin the first week of physical training. The training carrying a backpack and running uphill. Other nobles cannot keep up with Roman soldiers' pace. He give them the training that a soldier should receive. Others nobles are complaining that they couldn't keep up because they didn't receive enough training. A guy comes saying, "How much training have you guys received then?" Oh my god, he is Henderson, the scared little guy from the recruitment test. He has completed change like Giga Chat. The noble tells him they've only trained for barely a year. Henderson tells him they only started training 3 months ago. And don't make excuse if you didn't give her all. Next we see Henderson, who has made up his mind to serve Lord Roman, but after seeing all the big shots in the recruitment, he was like a herbivore surrounded by beasts. He tells Chris that he doesn't deserve to serve Lord Roman, since he doesn't even know how to properly swing a sword. Chris tells him when he first saw Kevin, he was just a brat with nothing but spite in his eyes. But now he have become a warrior that no one can ignore. He was also a frog in a well back then, but he changed through his liege guidance. Chris tells him even though you might be pathetic right now, but the liege chose you because you have the potential to grow like Kevin and I. Henderson started to train and give his all in his training, even if he were to puke or pass out. And now his hard work has changed him into Giga Chad. Henderson asks the noble guy, "Are you going to complain that you can't fight because you didn't have enough time to prepare it in the battlefield?" He leaves saying pathetic. Roman's warriors were already in the mindset of war. The extreme physical training continued, even while the difficulty was increasing with each day. But they stuck with their training to the end. The other nobles are talking. Why are they training like that in the southern front, which is far off from war? And Henry is thinking how to get close with Roman. He went back to sleep thinking it will work itself. Next we see the Ranger Corps Captain, Jackson, who is informing the King of Hector that they can conquering the southern front will not be a problem. The Kingdom of Hector were once a superpower on par with Chronos' empire, but suffered a helpless defeat in a war against Valhalla and fell to ruin. Now Hector's strength fell to the Kairos level. Edwin Hector, the Prince of Hector, tells his father the money they borrowed from Golden Bank has come back as massive interest and is suffocating them. And the kingdom cannot go on any further like this. Hector will lose any meaning as a kingdom. For their citizens in despair, as well as the kingdom itself, they have to make decision for war. His father asks him if he is confident. He replies, "I would never brought it up if I wasn't." He gives him the permission to command the war. Next we see 3 weeks of training had come to an end. The commander tells them they will be part of 5th Defense Line's Reserve Corps from today on. It's a safe place and he had pulled some string for Roman to be dispatched there. Roman thank him for that. Next we see the instructor thanking Roman for everything until now, and give him a map of Southern Front geographical features and its information saying it will be helpful if wars ever breaks out. Roman thanks him. He wanted to follow Roman, who he thinks someone worthy for his life. But what can he possibly do when he doesn't have a right hand? And Roman already has outstanding talents under him. He bids him farewell. Roman is grateful for his map. Southern Front 1st Defense Line. The war has broken out and the enemy has attacked. Next, we see the uncle has put his nephew together with Roman in the 5th Defense Line, and had tell him during these 2 years to form an amicable relationship with Roman. 5th Defense Line, Reserve Corps Base Camp. Henry and Roman have arrived there. They heard a big commotion. Hector has declared war. All force ready to engage. Henry is confused. War. Engage. What's going on? And shocked to see Roman have already left. The gate has broken. Enemies have entered and guards are fighting. Baron Bruce, 5th Defense Line commander, is shocked. 5th Defense Line was considered the paradise of the Southern Front. Nobles in the middle of their military service were provided a life of luxury instead of performing their duty as soldiers, all because of the man who took bribes to fill his own stomach. Now he is thinking guarding the 5th Defense Line is an act of suicide. He is telling his guard to maintain their position and do not retreat, no matter what. But he himself run away saying, "Buy me some time, I will contact the royal family." Roman and his soldiers are rushing to the 5th Defense Line. The reserve crops is 2 hours away from the 5th line and Roman is thinking to reach there in 1 hour. Baron Bruce comes waving his hand and ordered Roman to take him to the rear. The commander's safety takes priority. Roman asks him why is he here alone without any soldiers. He yells at him, saying how dare a reserve corps member like you talk that way to a commander. Roman grabs him by his neck and tells him, a commander that has abandoned his soldiers and run away. Do you understand by law, deserters can be executed on the spot, regardless of status? Baron Bruce is like you wouldn't, and Roman is like I would, after chopping his head off, and they are ready to move again. 5th Defense Line, many guards have died, and a lone soldier is fighting with the enemies. He is in the verge of death, thinking it's over. 2 men tries to attack him, but get sliced like tomatoes. Roman asks, "Are you Stephen?" And Baron Bruce's death. "You will be responsible for this place now." Roman had heard about Stephen from Lucas. Roman tells him, "I will trust your judgment and tell me how can we protect this place. And if there is no hope, he will have all forces retreat as the commander of the reserve corps." He tells him retreat would be the correct decision, but that would then yield an advantageous position to their enemies. They would obtain a path in which they can mobilize supply units, in which case the war would be prolonged. Then there's only one way. They must use the railing to stop their enemies. Roman tells him he will buy time to install the railing, and Stephen to mobilize his forces to prepare them. Stephen tells him this plan is far too dangerous. A guy tries to attack Roman. He dodged the attack and slashed the guy. Stephen is shocked to see Roman evaded without even seeing the attack. Chris and the other soldiers have also arrived. Roman tells them they will clear the path to the gate. They are all ready for it. Stephen is surprised to see they don't even have a shred of doubt. He can't believe such a master-servant relationship is possible. Roman tells him to make his preparation. The war has only just begun. Now Stephen understands the loyalty they have towards Roman come out of respect. Next we see Roman is slashing his opponents like they are nothing. The arrow they shot, not even one reaches near him. He is thinking, why is he fighting for the country he don't even love? It's all because he missed his life in the battlefield. Chris and Kevin charge south and follow the liege. Chris slash his opponent and Kevin stab his opponent. Whenever Roman moved, death followed. When he kills 10 people, Hector's soldiers would charge as they trust each other. When Roman killed 20 people, they realized that their opponent was far stronger than they had ever imagined. And when he killed more than 50 people, the enemy's faces began to fill with fear. Monster, run away, retreat. They start to retreat. Baron McCleary, Hector commander. He is shocked. The victory was so close, but why their troops are retreating now? Then he saw the monster that is slashing his soldiers. Roman looked straight at him. He is surprised their eyes met when he's that far away. Roman charged toward the guards. McCleary is shocked to see Roman charging in alone just to take his head. He tells his men to kill him. There's only one enemy. The soldiers are ready with their shield. Roman charged towards them, slashing the head of his enemies. And his target is the commander's head. Once the commander is dead, the war is finished. 3 Aura Knights jumped at him saying, "We will take care of him." Roman used his heavenly demon sword technique. Second form, slashing them all. His attack has created a big hole in the middle of the battlefield. Everyone is terrified to see the sight. Seeing that his men cannot stop Roman, he comes to fight him. He introduces himself and was about to say, "I will." His head rolls down his body. Roman grabs the head and shouts, "Cairo soldiers, I have slain the enemy commander, even though we have lost much blood here. Put your lives on the line and slaughter all our enemies." Henry is shocked to see Roman, and now he realizes why his uncle wanted him to get close to Roman. Next, Chris informs all 30 of them, including himself, had no casualties incurred. Roman tells them to use potions to treat their injuries. Stephen is surprised. He supplies potions to his soldiers. Potion, a medical liquid created in the magical tower for healing purposes. Even the lowest grade potions are worth quite a large sum. Roman tells Stephen to take care of the battlefield here and prepare for the second round of attack. And Roman will need someone that's familiar with the terrain of the southern front, because the war is not over yet. Stephen bring a guide and his name is Kobe. Roman showed him the map and asked for the shortest route to reach the rear camp. He showed him a route, but Roman tells him that route will take 2 hours and 30 minutes. What he needs is a shortcut that will help them arrive within 2 hours. Kobe gets surprised. How did he know that the mountain path would take 2 hours 30 minutes? He realizes that Roman already has a certain grasp of the southern front terrain. Roman tells him he studied the basic information in case of any unexpected situation, but he doesn't have a perfect understanding of everything. That's why he needed the assistance of the native of the southern front like him. Kobe is surprised that Roman is different from the other nobles, and if Roman helps them, he is sure even the southern front can have hope. Exactly 10 minutes. The meeting didn't last very long. Chris informs him they are ready to depart, and Henry Albert is also there. Roman asks him, "Why are you here?" Henry replies, he is there to apologize and he will like to follow and help him. Roman tells him, "Whether you follow me or not is up to you, but don't get in the way of my plan or I'll leave you behind without a single bit of hesitation." Next we see they are moving and Kobe is in the front and Roman and his men are behind, and our fat Henry is way behind. They find a guy, a soldier from Southern Training Camp. Roman asks him what happened. He tells them the Southern Training Camp was attacked. Now Roman is thinking the place that got attacked was the Southern Training Camp in the rear, and not the front line. Since the soldier of the training camp could escape this far, there's a chance that the attack began at least 30 minutes ago. In that case, Hector Kingdom must have attacked all 5 defense lines. He notices something and tells his men, "Let's go to the Southern Training Camp first." Next, we see the soldiers of Hector telling McBurney to give up and they will give him a painless death. and he is telling them he will kill at least one of them even if it'll cost him his life. He is thinking if only he had his right arm, and thinks about Roman, who was assigned to the 5th defense line. But why is he thinking about Roman on the verge of his death? A big blast happens and the two guys get scared. Did the Cairo send reinforcement troops already? It's none other than our boy Roman Dmitri. Chris tells his men to get rid of the enemies and rescue the survivors. The two of them charge towards Roman. Roman didn't kill them but make them pass out, so he can interrogate them later. One guy tries to run saying, "I need to report this to higher-ups quickly." But the instructor grabs him by his neck and tells him he will kill at least one of them. And he killed him. Roman tells him, "Leave the rest to me and take a rest for a little bit." Next, Chris is informing Roman that Viscount Bale was injured in his fight with Hector's soldiers and withdrew into the mountain. And the Hector soldiers they caught. They have locked them all in one building. Roman tells him not to allow anyone to enter the building without his permission. There's definitely a reason Hector used diversion tactics, and he will find out what that is now. Roman tells them he will give 3 minutes starting now and give him the answer that they wanted. And if they don't, then they will experience excruciating pain until he finally let them die. The soldiers tell him to just kill them. Question number 1. What is Hector Kingdom's objective? The soldier tells him to go F himself. Question number 2. Why are you guys in the southern training camp? The soldiers tells him to kill them. 3 minutes up, he puts a purple-like fire on one of them and he feels that excruciating pain. He calls it the body crusher. As they experience the pain of their muscles and bone being distorted, they will die a very slow death, seeing his friend dying like that. The other guy tells him, doing this nothing will change, you guys are already too late to stop them. Roman tells him he's been waiting for that answer. He never expected those guys to tell the truth. He just wanted to see their responses and he was right. Their real objective lies in the rear. And then he killed that soldier. Now he understands. The diversion tactics to attack the southern front line was to confuse them, and if they succeed, the southern front line could be considered to have fallen already. Next, we see Roman ask McBurney what happened in the training camp. He tells him they were attacked about 2 hours ago. They were preparing to train as usual, but the Hector soldiers suddenly appeared and attacked them. They couldn't even find out if the commander is alive or not. Roman asks anything special about the enemies was wearing. He replies they were all wearing light equipment, and the enemy commander's face was covered with scars. Roman thinks face covered with scars and light equipment. He tells him they could be the Ranger Crops. Hector Kingdom, the Ranger Crops. The leader of that squad has a face covered with scars. He thinks of them as a badge of honor. But McBurney didn't understand why they attacked the southern camp. If they wanted to occupy an advantageous higher ground, then shouldn't they destroy the forefront instead? They came to the rear instead of going to the front, and they attacked the southern training camp because it's on the way to the rear camp. They had no choice but to attack, and attacking the forefront defense line was just a smoke screen. Their real objective is the rear camp, the Warp Gate. Warp Gate, the ultimate form of magic that controls space. They can also transport troops for a combined attack. The Hector plan was probably to occupy the Warp Gate in the rear. McBurney tells him if that's the case, they have to help the rear camp immediately. Roman tells him they didn't receive any request for reinforcement. That only mean they have occupied the Warp Gate. The defense line's enemy and the rear camp's enemy. Southern Front's forces, including them, are totally isolated, and they need to survive in this place without the help of the kingdom. Next we see a guard informing Prince Edwin about the situation of the war. Edwin tells him the most important thing right now is to destroy the fortress wall in front of them, and the existence of the Warp Gate. In worst scenario, they must prepare to destroy the Warp Gate. Now they are ready to begin their second plan. Edwin Hector hit action has revived the Hector Kingdom. Next, Jackson has killed the guard and tells his men to hurry up. They must succeed in the connect. 1 year ago, Edwin is telling Jackson about the situation of the Hector has worsened and offered Jackson to take over the Cairo Kingdom's southern front with him. Edwin Hector, who's known to be the greatest genius in the Hector's history, was like a fated hero that appeared in the turbulent times. So the Hector sent their troops for reconnaissance on the southern front 48 times within a year. They dig a tunnel that connects to the rear camp, and with that got their hands on the Warp Gate. They finish connecting the gate and Prince Edwin comes out from it. He puts a guy named Kellen in charge of the 1st Battalion and asks Jackson about Baron McCleary, who they lost contact with. Jackson is also confirming the details about that matter. Edwin had told them not to push their attack too much, so as soon as the operation over, he will make sure to punish Baron McCleary no matter what the results are. Despite his meticulous plan, he wasn't aware that 2 unexpected situations had occurred. 1st Defense Line, Count Donald 1st Defense Line Command. A guard tells him they received a call from Southern Training Camp. Roman tells him that the Hector has occupied the Warp Gate and they have been isolated in this place. But Count Donald doesn't listen to him and hang up the call. Roman is ready to abandon the defense line, excluding the 5th Defense Line. His soldiers are ready. They will be going to the mountains from today onwards. Next we see Count Donald, thinking Roman was right now that they can't connect to the rear camp. He is thinking if they hang on in the fortress until the reinforcements arrive, which takes half a month, they still have a good chance of winning. 4 hours later, they are completely isolated. Now he is thinking they have prepared all the armaments in advance. They can last in the fortress. He tells everyone not to give up and don't expect any reinforcements from the kingdom right now. But they have to hang in until the reinforcements are here. But their hope turns to despair after seeing the flare. They starts to fire the flare, burning all the guards inside. Now Donald is thinking he should have listened to Roman. His head gets chopped. They have occupied the fortress and imprisoned all the surrendered soldiers. Edwin's plan is perfect, but he is still feeling uneasiness. A guard informs him big trouble. Baron McCleary has died on the battlefield. Edwin asks who passed on that information. A guard is informing him what happened. At first, the 5th defense line seemed unprepared for any attack, and they managed to get inside the fortress. But after that monster appeared, his power was so strong he still couldn't believe it after seeing it with his own eyes. That monster cut down numerous ally soldiers alone. Tens of soldiers would disappear in a blink of an eye. Even the Aura Knight of Hector were completely unable to withstand even a single strike of that monster. Just because of the appearance of that monster, they lost the battle. Now an unexpected variable has appeared. The youngest ranker of Cairo, Roman Dmitri. Jackson informed him they have checked the 5th defense line, but none of the Cairo's soldiers had remained there. It seems they have withdrawn into the mountains. Well, now they have taken over the southern front. It's time to negotiate with Cairo Kingdom. Next, Cairo royal family, the king of Cairo, Daniel Cairo, who is mad because he isn't able to make decisions on his own. He's required to obtain the approval of the powerful aristocrats in order to mobilize troops. Marquis Benedict comes, and the pro-Valhalla faction Count Denver and pro-Kronos faction Count Gregory. They starts to talk about the situation of the war, and Benedict suggests to send reinforcements, but gets shocked after hearing they took over the warp gate. The king yells at them if they have given him the right to make decisions. The southern front wouldn't be in such danger right now, and this all their fault. A guard comes and informs them they receive a magic call. Edwin is putting his demand, gold worth southern front. They are shocked, saying this is a plain robbery. He gives them 3 days, and if they don't meet their demands by then, the southern front will be absorbed as a part of Hector. And if they try any petty tricks to buy time, none of the hostages will make it back. Hector Kingdom's state has worsened day by day, and in order to protect his people, he will do whatever it takes. He'll become the devil of this era if needed to be. Thank you for watching and your love for this manhwa series, and the next part will be going to be boom. So subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Next, we see the king is telling them they have no choice but to give the compensation that Hector Kingdom has requested. Benedict tells them if they do that, Hector will definitely ask for a huge sum. The king yells at them if they have a better plan, then tell us. Everyone is silent. The king is thinking as these people, who always fight over the authority over a small country pathetically. And now when they are in crisis, they're so damn powerless. He tells them they will accede with the Hector's requests. Viscount Denver doesn't agree and tells them Roman Dmitri is in the southern front. And based on the report he received, Roman has succeeded in defending the 5th line and even turned the tide of the war in their favor, and they might have a chance of winning this war. The king agrees Roman is a great swordsman. However, he won't be able to influence the war by himself. Benedict also agrees, saying they cannot lose a talented man for the sake of gambling. Count Denver thinks these people doesn't know what Roman Dmitri is fully capable of. Since he is part of the pro-Valhalla faction, he heard that Roman possesses the talent of 4-star and above. He tells them, just 3 days. If nothing changes in the southern front, let's accede to the Hector's request then. The king agrees. Next, Henry is surprised to see the 1st defense line has been destroyed. He tells his men to retreat to the mountain right away. They starts to run to the mountain. Chris jumps in front of them and almost cut Henry's neck. Chris tells him to be quiet, and he is surprised to see Chris there. Chris takes them to their secret base, and Henry is surprised to see. When did they create a secret base there? Chris tells him his liege already expected the fall of the rear camp and prepared this secret camp for that situation. Henry tells him they should be running if the rear camp has fallen. Why did they make this camp here? Chris tells him the war isn't over yet, and they crossed the mountain to defeat their enemies in the order to protect allies like him. And if he were on the Hector's side, he'd already be dead by now. He thinks Chris is a monster. He asks for Roman. He tells him he is currently defeating the enemies on the forefront alone. Now Henry is thinking the big monster is Roman and his underlings are small monsters. Next we see the soldiers are fighting. 1st Defense Line Deputy Commander Brandt, who is fighting and cursing Donald, that son of a bitch, because of the commander's unfounded bravado. The 1st Defense Line's soldiers are being mercilessly slaughtered. He is down and his enemies is ready to cut him down, but gets his head chopped by Roman. The other soldiers attacks him together. Roman sliced them all like tomatoes. Roman tells him he is from 5th Defense Line's reserve squad, and his name is Roman Dmitri. He is surprised that Roman Dmitri that advised them to retreat. He came to save them instead of running away. He informed Roman, the 1st defense line has already fallen and the 2nd defense line won't be able to last long either. Roman asks him if he is suggesting to give up. He tells him he acknowledges him as a strong swordsman, but it's impossible to fight the Hector kingdom alone. Now Roman is thinking, great famine, ambush, war. These are actions that don't fit with Hector's current situation. Roman tells him the Hector are unable to wage war for an extended period of time, because their objective is to resolve their kingdom's crisis with this war, and for their smooth negotiation, they must successfully take over the southern front. Now he understands the actions of the Hector kingdom. They are now gambling with the fate of their kingdom on the line. Next we see the southern front 2nd defense line, where Jackson is attacking with a flare. The wall of the fortress has been broken. The soldiers start to fight, and Edwin is thinking if Roman is as strong as the runaway guard said, would all of the Hector forces be able to stand up against him? A guard comes and informs him that they lost contact with the 1st squadron that went out to deal with the enemy's remnant soldiers. And not that's all, the 2nd and 3rd squadron aren't responding either. The ominous feeling he had this whole time was because of Roman Dmitri. Jackson is informing Edwin about the situation of the 3rd squadron, and it appears they've been killed by the enemy, and they've lost about 300 men. Edwin is thinking, Roman, instead of crossing the mountain and running away, he chose to remain on the southern front to fight back. Edwin tells Jackson that they will take care of Roman first. Jackson tells him Roman is just a rat and they should focus on their mission to destroy the rest of the defense camp. But Edwin tells him they have to exterminate the rat that has interfered with our plan. Now they are ready to catch the rat. Edwin could sense it instinctively. Roman was a dangerous factor. He, as a commander, needs to constantly prepare for the worst-case scenario. And the worst-case scenario is the existence of the Roman Dmitri, who created unexpected variables for them. They are all ready to hunt those rats of Cairo. The Hector's soldiers has surrounded the mountain and slowly close in towards the top. A man shouts to blow a whistle upon discovering the enemy. They are spreading out to search for their enemies. He asks, what about the left side? The soldier replied nothing abnormal, but another second he disappeared. The man asks for the right side and nothing abnormal, but he suddenly realizes that he is the only one left there. He tries to blow the whistle, but Roman comes from behind him and broke his neck. Now Roman is thinking the Hectors are making bolder decision than he thought. Their commander is definitely extraordinary. The guard shouts, the enemy has appeared. Roman is cutting their heads off. The guard shouts, we need to cut off the retreat route, but gets his head chopped by Roman. And this sensation and this feeling, he is enjoying it. Next we see Baek Jong-huk's father, who is telling him he will be living as a night demon from now on. As he completed his mission and moved to another one, opponent were stronger each time. He had to look for a different way to deal with his situation. He found the martial arts of the Night King in the demonic cult's report. Night King was a big shot known as the Great Thief, and he was someone who left his name in the history of Murim. Baek Jong-huk studied the Night King's techniques thoroughly, and executing his missions by resorting to all means. 1 year later, he, who had killed 38 martial masters, became known as the Shadow Phantom. The Night King's martial arts were darkness itself. The guards are shouting, where the hell are they? Hector or a night order ordered their men to retreat, but they were like a rat in the palm of a cat. The guards are just dying without knowing who killed them. A guard is calling his commander, a phantom has appeared, and asked to send help, but Grim Reaper has already come for him. Next we see Edwin telling his men to calm down. Enemies are just making use of the darkness. The soldier is telling him their men are dying one by one, and they have no idea where the enemies are attacking from. And he is Hector Night Order Thompson, who is telling Edwin they are unable to fight a ghost without any form. Edwin is shocked that Thompson is an aura swordsman, and he can't believe that he is completely unable to detect his enemies. He is thinking if the enemies are using some sort of magic, like invisible or hide. But if they use magic, they will need recovery time with each usage. The guards are dying, and Thompson is thinking they just need to last until the prince arrives. He tells his men to go into defensive formations and try to use his aura to detect his enemies. He notices something and swing his sword towards that direction, but it was his own man. Roman stealthily appears from behind, saying, I've hid in the darkness and hunted my enemies. He swings his sword, but no one is there. Roman come out of the darkness, saying, did you think you'd be able to subdue me easily if you really discovered where I am? Thompson charged toward him. Their swords collide with each other. Roman strike breaks his sword and cuts Thompson. He shouts the enemy is here. Roman tells him it's futile. His voice won't reach his comrades. Roman stabs him multiple times. He picks his magic phone and tells the other guy he knows what they are thinking. Hector peoples are starving to death because of never-seen famine, and they occupied the southern front while risking their life. There's only one reason: to resolve their country's problem with this war, and trying to take the southern front as a hostage to extort a huge sum from Cairo. But he found out their plan and now they are out of time. His objective is complete, and they won't be able to ignore his existence any further. The guy on the other side asks, "Are you Roman?" Edwin tells him about the situation of their country, and in order to get out of the endless cycle of debt, they had no choice but to make such a decision. The fate of the Hector kingdom is on the line in this war. They are out of time like Roman said, but that doesn't mean they can stand down. They can't let the death of their comrades go to waste, and if they are not able to get anything, they will disperse the corpse poison of the necromancers everywhere, and turn this land into one of death. And as the prince of the Hector kingdom, he is ready to do anything in order to save his people. And he asks Roman if they will fall together with Hector that's been driven to the edge of cliff or negotiate with them. Make your decision. Roman, who is thinking, Edwin Hector, a name that I've heard a lot as I investigated the southern front. Someone who has been acknowledged by people both inside and outside of Hector, and also the person commanding this war. Though I do acknowledge that he's outstanding. How dare he threaten me? Roman stabs Thompson. Edwin yells, "What the hell are you doing?" Roman tells him, "I just stabbed this guy's thigh." And he has zero interest in the difficult situation that Hector has. Don't make mistake, the war has begun, and you who cross the line first have no right to expect me to be humane. I won't spare a single one of you. Even if you guys choose to raise a white flag and run away, I will chase you down and stab my sword into your backs. I am Roman Dmitri. If you choose to embrace death and resist to the end, we will meet again very soon. Roman Dmitri is far more dangerous than Edwin thought. Next we see Edwin telling Jackson to mobilize their force and form an encirclement around the location to the communication device, for the sake of Thompson, who died in pain. He will carve out the flesh of Roman Dmitri personally. Next, Roman is telling his soldiers, if one controls this mana artificially, it will be able to warp space. Everyone is surprised to see Roman disappear in thin air. The name of the technique is known as a trap formation. A soldier is telling his men to take out the enemies. Chris chopped his head off. It's just as his liege said. Hector's army isn't able to detect them. He shouts, "Attack the enemy," and Hector's soldiers are shocked to see their enemy coming out from thin air. Chris, who have been reborn completely into a new person after his hard work with Roman. He hung on with grit even if he was about to collapse. As a result, he was able to use the sword techniques of the top 10 strongest martial masters that ruled the world of Miram in this place. The lightning flash. They have taken down their enemies, and now it's time to retreat. At the same time, battle occurring in another region as well. Kevin, his comrade, says that he's a monster that grew stronger the fastest. He is thinking he will always follow the values that his liege follows. The way of his liege are absolute. In another location, Falqui and Vulcan has also completed their missions. 4 groups launched their attack at the same time, and the operation was a success. A soldier is informing Edwin that their enemies appeared out of nowhere and attacked them. Edwin is surprised. There isn't any magic that can move many people, unless one uses a magic scroll. But high circle strolls are strictly controlled by the magic tower. There's no way the sloppy southern front would have such an item. And for a high-class mage to be here in the south and not in the west, it's ridiculous. Mage are rarer than aura swordsmen, and most of them would belong to Magic Tower, which is neutral organization. And Magic Tower has a repository of knowledge. Mages have no choice but to choose to join the Magic Tower, and each country would only have very few mages because of this. This isn't magic. He would be able to find out if he goes there personally, but he needs to wait for the right time. For the time that Roman falls into his trap. Next, Roman has pierced his sword through a soldier, and he tells him they finally got him. He activates an artifact in a light flash. Roman tries to escape, but the light that the artifact shoot was embedded all over Roman's body and exposed his location like a firefly. A soldier informs Roman is moving to the north, but gets his hand chopped by Roman. Other soldiers shout, "Avenge our comrades." Roman used Heavenly Demon sword techniques, second move, and now he has reached his limit. The soldier tells him no matter how strong he is, he won't make it out alive. Roman tells him he choose to walk into their little trap, and their soldiers were running recklessly in hopes of trying to stop him, somehow for 1 minute, no, for 30 seconds. It's interesting, they have become more careless than before, and he will play with them as long as they want. Jackson comes saying, "This is it for you." Looking at him and that energy, he is definitely 4 stars. Now it's getting interesting. The fight begins, and Jackson has finally got Roman Dmitri. Jackson, a 4-star aura knight, who is not in the ranking. He's only known as the leader of the Ranger Crops to the outside world, and no one knows exactly how strong he is. And Jackson is shocked that Roman is not being pushed back by his attack. The news that Roman was a 3-star swordsman was all lie. Starting from 4-star onwards, one would be a walking disaster. That's why the soldiers went down so helplessly. He realizes Roman is strong. Roman starts to attack Jackson and Jackson is being pushed back. Having a chance, he blows the whistle. Suddenly the soldiers come and encircle Roman. Roman tells them they are mistaken about a few things. He removes the artifact fragments from his body, and even if they surround him from all sides, they will not be able to subdue him. Just in a blink, he appears behind Jackson. Now that they are all here, that means Edwin Hector has no one on his side. Jackson turns behind, but Roman has already gone. Roman is going for the commander's head to end the war. He follows the mana flow of the communication that Edwin is using and find his location. Bottom of the mountain, Hector's main camp. The soldiers are shocked to see Roman there. Roman cuts their heads in a blink of an eye. He went straight at Edwin but gets surprised to see Edwin's method of using mana is different. Edwin is a mage. Edwin chants Inferno. A big fire wave surrounds Roman. Roman deflect the attack. Edwin chants Entangle. Roots burst out from the earth. Roman cuts them all but almost gets hit by someone. Hector Kingdom's ranking number 2, Royal Knight Order Captain. 5-star swordsman, Butler. Now Roman is in a tight spot. A 4th circle mage and a 5-star swordsman. Edwin attacks with his wind blade, and Butler also uses his attack. The combo attack from both sides. Roman dodges the wind blade and the sword from 5-star swordsman. Boom. A big commotion. Roman had never expected Edwin to be a mage, or that he'd bring a 5-star swordsman. But he is getting excited and can truly feel alive. Butler is shocked. Roman survived their combo attack. He is only in his mid-20s. Where did such a monster come from? Edwin tells Butler to attack while Roman is still tired, and casting his spell. Roman suddenly appears in front of him and chanted his spell. Heavenly Demon Sword Technique. Third move, the Dark Wave appears, but Mr. Butler blocks the attack. The impact of that attack was too devastating. Roman is surprised that Butler blocked that attack of his, and now he is at his limit and now he has to make his retreat. Roman tells Hector if they ever meet again, he won't be able to survive as he did today, and disappear in the dark. Next we see Hector's army had suffered a great humiliation because of single person and almost lost their commander. This battle was Edwin's defeat. They cremated the dead bodies of the comrades, and Edwin is blaming himself for his poor judgment. The soldier tells him it's not his fault, and Jackson also agrees. It's just because their enemy was simply too strong, and tells him to lift his head. They still believe in him. He tells them if they think that his decision might lead to defeat, he wants them to disregard all hierarchy and inform him right away. Now they need to take care of everything in the defense camp that in the forefront, and they have 10 days before Cairo's main army arrives. They will use the rear camp as their base and prepare for their resistance to death. Butler asks how to deal with Roman. Edwin admits that Roman is a dangerous foe, but fighting in the mountain and plains are totally different, and he is going to make use of that fact. Jackson asks if they will be able to get compensation from Cairo by putting up resistance, but Edwin will be offering a deal with the Kronos Empire. Cairo royal family, Cairo Kingdom Count Ager, is telling that they won't be able to accommodate all of Hector's conditions in their current state of finance. King asks about increasing the tax, but they already increased it half a year ago and people may riot if they do it again. Now they have no choice but to contact the nobles of central government. A guard comes and informs the king the southern front has driven away the enemies. Everyone is surprised. How on earth Roman drive off the Hector with lesser force? They connect their magic communication device to the southern front, and Henry is on the line. The king asks, "Who are you? State the group you're in." He tells them he is the second son of the House of Albert, Henry Albert. The king doesn't know him, but Benedict have heard of the House of Albert. Benedict asks, "Why are you answering instead of Roman?" He tells them Sir Roman had to take some alone time, so he stepped up to answer as the only noble there, and starts to blabber on. Benedict stops him and tells him to get to the point. He tells them the success of this was complete due to Sir Roman, and as soon as he confirmed the Hector Kingdom's attack on the South training camp, he saw through their plan and knew they were aiming for the warp gate. He wasted no time and climbed the mountain to build a secret camp, and if the Southern Front's commander had listened to him, then the South wouldn't have fallen so easily. He berated all the idiots and put Roman's success on a pedestal, and everyone is shocked, because he knew that Roman's subordinates in the vicinity would hear what he said. He intentionally talked louder, even if they only have 200 soldiers, but Sir Roman was in the front, and made us claim victory. The king is happy and the other counts suggest to take action of this opportunity and send their reinforcement there. The king tells them they will reject further negotiations with Hector, and now they will be the one to recover the pride of Cairo Kingdom, and gathered all the vassals of their families. But after the meeting their objective was just one person, Roman Dmitri, and that was the moment they all decided to get him on their side. Now Henry is thinking if he can become one of Roman's people, he'll be able to make it big. He tries to approach Chris, but Chris tells him if he really want to be acknowledged, then show them that he can be trusted with their back on the battlefield. He is thinking trust. Then he approaches Kevin saying, "Do you want this?" Next we see the 3rd Defense Line commander, Baron Vassal, who has got the news that Hector's army was defeated by 200 soldiers, and now he is thinking, whatever a kid, he means Roman, he can do it as well. He orders to gather their force to attack the Hector, employing guerrilla tactics. Hector split up its army and attacked separately in order to quickly take over the defense line. And among them, the army that's attacking the 3rd Defense Line consisted of 3,000 soldiers. Baron Vassal laid in an ambush and attacked the Hector's army, but the Hector's army didn't have the weak soldiers that he thought they could take down. He is shocked to see his men are getting one-side slaughter. The Cairo commander soon realized that the victory on the mountains was only possible because of Roman Dmitri. A guard is informing the king that the Baron Vassal, the commander of the 3rd Defense Line, was killed during the battle with the enemy. A guard comes rushing and informs the 3rd and 4th are being attacked by the enemies at the same time. And they got a call from 2nd Defense Line, and a man is telling it'd be impossible to last 10 days in this state and send help. Now the king is shocked. It's not that Cairo is strong or Hector was weak. The overwhelming victory they had was only due to the existence of Roman Dmitri. Next we see a cave, and Roman is thinking that the magic, the use of energy in Murim in this world is totally different. And if Hector would have been even more powerful mage, he wouldn't have been able to escape. He still hasn't been able to recover the martial prowess that he once has as the heavenly demon. Edwin Hector predict that he'd attack and was waiting for him after lying a trap like a spider. Now he is thinking of the possibility, how to fight with them. He would dodge the Inferno attack and counter with a lightning flash. But there's Butler, a 5-star swordsman. But maybe he's been waiting for a fight like this where he has to risk his life. A new challenge, a new formidable foe. And he is someone who can't live a comfortable life and be satisfied with it. He tries to find the possibility to defeat Butler, but he died every time. And he finally defeats him. He has completed his preparations. Next, Henry is asking Chris when is Roman coming out because the royal family is urgently looking for him. Chris tells him no one may enter until his liege comes out by himself own accord. He was lucky Roman comes out. And Henry asks him why do he look so rugged. Chris informs him that the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th had fallen into the hands of their enemies. And Hector took all the war supplies and gathered in the rear camp. And the rear camp is where they're preparing to fight to the death. Henry informs him that the royal family have been waiting desperately to get in contact with him. Roman connects to the royal family. King asks him what he's been doing when the southern front had taken down. Roman tells him he has been preparing for his strategy this entire week. And to be honest, he left the battle with Hector up to luck. And Hector's put their lives on the line in this war. And the Hector Kingdom's 2nd strongest butler has joined this war, and their commander, Edwin Hector, is a mage. And as they all know, mages have overwhelming power when they're fighting on a field. So he thought that they ought to fight them only after Cairo main force arrived. They are surprised by all the information they just got. Benedict tells them there's no need to interrogate our war hero any further. The king tells Roman their main force is about to arrive at the southern front, and tells him to join and help them. Roman tells them time is not on their side. If they cannot destroy the rear camp within 3 days, Hector will definitely pull an external army like the Kronos Empire into this war. And there's one way to stop them, a full frontal attack. They need to defeat Hector within those 3 days. Next we see Kronos Empire Count Hearted, who is telling Edwin that they don't want to deal with Cairo's wrath. And if the rear positions remain intact for the next month, they will accept the deal of Hector. Hector has no choice but to accept. Edwin tells Jackson to connect to the Hector's family through warp. They need manpower and supplies that will last for a month. Hector's warp gate. The linking time is at least 3 days. Next we see Commander-in-Chief Viscount Partius, noble faction, who is saying how dare they put a flag in Cairo's territory. Next, the Commander-in-Chief Viscount Thales, Kronos Empire. Next, Commander-in-Chief Baron Brahim, Valhalla Empire. And they all three are there to secure Roman Dimitri's heart. Roman comes in the room and Partius greet him. He was told by Marquess Benedict to win Roman. If he is taken by other parties, the balance of power may collapse. Roman Dmitri, the eldest son of Dmitri. It bothers him that it's a family of commoners, but he is only in his mid-20s. He tells him to take a sit and apologize in place of Marquess, who personally connect Roman to the southern training camp. And the situation has turned out to be like this. Roman tells him it's all right, and the three of them start to do their best to win him over. But Roman stops them and tells them he is not naive enough to not know why they came to him. But right now the enemies has planted their flag and appear to be proud as they lift their heads high. He think it's not right to discuss his future in this place. He tells them after defeating Hector to become Cairo's greatest sword. He is thinking of challenging the rankings. And wait until then, he will offer his sword to only one person. They are surprised to hear Cairo's best swordsman. And now they focus on the situation in front of them. Partius tells Roman now they've got troops attacking Hector head-to-head match have a good chance of winning. but Roman tells them, as long as Edwin Hector has a mage, we cannot say our power is overwhelming. However, it's not like there's a way out. Next we see Kingdom Cairo main army, and Roman is asking the butler of Hector's kingdom for a head-to-head battle. Edwin is surprised. Roman tells them he doesn't want any more meaningless sacrifices, and if Hector's win the battle, Cairo will accept Hector's offer without hesitation, and if he wins, get out of the Cairo. He will give 10 minutes. If they don't accept, then even at the risk of death he will destroy the rear camp. Now they are in difficult situation. Butler agrees to fight, but Edwin doesn't agree. Butler asks Edwin to trust him. He will cut off the head of Roman Dimitri. Edwin tells him he believes in him, but Roman must have a hidden intention. Butler tells him he will destroy everything he prepared. In the end, Edwin agrees and asks him to make a promise, because he doesn't want to lose him. If he notices any strange sign, make sure to run away. Now Butler is ready to go for the fight. Butler tells Roman he don't know what traps he has set up, but he'll do his best. Roman tells him there's no trap and he just want to compete with his skills. Roman tells if he kills him, get what they want. Now the fight begins. Holy cow, it's end here. Thank you for watching. And this is the last episode of this series. But don't worry, there will be more in future. So ring that notification bell and stay tuned.